country here where I'm at in Georgia, and it's like 249, I think 242 maybe is the lowest I've seen it. Which I understand why it is, and people will say, "Oh, look, gas is cheap. Look what Trump did." It's got nothing to do with Trump. That's OPEC doing a readjustment because the economies, the global economies are going down now because of Trump's tariffs, and so people can't really afford that much fuel like they were. So what they're doing is they're increasing production to lower the price because they understand it. But if you ask anybody who sees the prices low right now, and they will say that it's because of Trump did something. They don't know.
Well, I'm just going to say, you know how I feel. If the price of fuel goes down while Trump is president, I believe whatever happens under your watch, you get credit for. But before I let you go, Gen X did hear you. He's watching on Instagram, and he says, ha, ha, ha. He said, man, I've lost more money than Decal's ever had. So your idea that he's struggling financially, he seems to disagree. Yeah. That he's lost more money than you've ever had. So I did want to point that out.
That tells you just how intelligent he is. He's lost more money than I've had. That's not a compliment. That's not a flex, Gen X. It's not.
All right, Decal. As always, I appreciate you coming through. Thank you.
All right.
All right. And moving on with the program, we are talking about a tale of two topics. As you see on the monitor behind me, now that I've gotten all my equipment finally working, and the damn tablet updated overnight, so it took me a minute to get that. But real quick in the comments, Trump meant white babies. Check the birth stats. That's what KO Surge is saying. In regards to Trump suggesting that he might give a tax credit or some way, somehow, give a $5,000 payment or tax credit or $5,000 worth of benefit to moms having children. KO Surge is talking about he means white moms. Now, I don't know how you could do that in a country where it's supposed to be illegal to discriminate. Now, didn't the Trump administration remove some sort of federal law that prevents you from discriminating? But I don't know if they would do it that outright. If they all of a sudden said we're giving $5,000 to moms for having children, but it only referred to white moms, I mean that would be about as a clear cut racist policy as you can get. So I'm going to assume that Trump is not going to do something crazy like that. Offering $5,000 to cause more debt in the U.S. Genius, says successful MD. I gotta kind of concur with what he's saying, because we're being told by Elon and Doge that we can't afford shit. We gotta, to the point where we gotta fire federal workers. We're actually getting rid of employees that work for this country. Federal employees are working Americans. Obviously, all of the foreign aid, whether it's the Ukraine or USAID, we've halted all of that. But somehow we have money to pay people to have kids? How does that work? How does that work? So before I move back on, just because a few new folks have popped in the show, I do want you to hear what the hell we're talking about.
Have a baby and get $5,000 for it? That is just one of the ideas that the Trump administration is reportedly tossing around to get birth rates up. The New York Times is reporting there are ideas on the table like a National Medal of Motherhood for women with 6 children or more.
National Medal of Motherhood. So if you are a woman, you have, like I was about to say Miss Brady, but he brought 3 kids of his own according to the anthem, so we can't bring up the Brady Bunch. But a mother of 6 kids. I assume that Miss Brady adopted all of the dad's kids. So Miss Brady in the Brady Bunch was a mother of 6 kids. But if you actually give birth to 6 kids, they want to give your ass a medal. Wow. What times are we living in?
More. There's even a $5,000 baby bonus for every new mother. A third idea is to fund programs that educate women on when they are ovulating and able to conceive. It is not yet clear whether the White House is seriously considering these measures.
So they're going to tell you when you're capable of getting pregnant. Man, this sounds like some of my favorite cream pie episodes. Anyway, looking in the KO Search says in 2025, Latinos in the United States were going to be 30%. So what are you suggesting, that they wanted to curtail the number of Latinos in this country? Appreciate it, Patrick Griffin. Thank you for the support. And before I go back to the box, Major Boo says, tell Dinkel I'm losing money too, trying to get money back. And here's the issue: the Trump administration and many Trump supporters have the belief that temporary suffering means that at the end of the rainbow, they're going to get all that 401k retirement package money back. As Denkow rightfully pointed out, that shit don't happen overnight. I don't think it even happens over the period of, say, 48 months. I mean, I think it's going to be, a few years. I don't think that happens that quickly. Kyle T. Johnson, friend of the program, shout out to you. Thank you. Going to the box, we're talking about $5,000 per shorty. How does that work? We're going to go to the one and only Maga Reacts. $5,000 per shorty. Where that money coming from, Maga?
From tariffs.
So we're going to put tariffs on goods coming in this country from elsewhere, and they're going to use that money. It's going to be that much money. It's going to provide that much of a windfall that you can pay moms in this country to have children at a $5,000 pop.
Yeah, I've been telling you that since day one, that the tariff money is supposed to pay for a lot of services.
Is that what you call having a baby services?
Well, I'm talking about the money, not the actual having a baby, but yeah.
Okay, so how
should start mothers for their service.
Jesus, this sounds like some shit he did with Stormy Daniels, the way you making this sound. How do we suggest that the country is so full we got to deport people, and while at the same time paying folks in the country to have babies? Trump said we can't take any more immigrants. We are full. If we're able to pay folks to have children, is it possible he was lying?
No, because babies take up a lot less space. You have until they turn 18 to build them housing. When you get full-grown adults, you have to have housing for them right now. And we barely have enough housing. There's a housing shortage all over this fucking country. So, when you have kids, you put them in another room in your house. You don't have to give them their own apartment when they're born.
Babies take... Listen, let me tell you something. In regards to this whole thing about...
As they grow, other people are going to die, and they're going to take their place.
Let me just say this, man, because you and I have been talking for quite a while, and, he's talking about giving women that have 6 kids or more some type of medal. I want to give you a virtual medal, man. I have the ability to spin shit. I enjoy talking to you because you can find a way to... the baby takes up less space? You said...
How you compare a full-grown adult to a baby? You can put a baby in a what is it, like a 4x8 cube in a, what's it called?
The country is full, so we can't take any more immigrants, but we got room for babies because they're smaller? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
The babies being born are going to replace the people dying. Because people die every day, and we need to birth more kids to replace them.
What?
And, yeah.
In the comments, as Coffee Lovers stated, they grow up, man. So the babies are, 10 years from now, most of those babies are going to be, 10, 11, 12 years old. You start to be damn near adult size at that point. That's not that far out in the future. If we're full now, how do we have room to even create, to take in a bunch of tiny babies, as you're putting it?
You want to take a full-grown adult today versus having a home for a baby over 10 years? Really, like I said, 18 is when they're fully grown and they move out on their own.
Why are we, when he said we're full, what does that mean to you?
It means our infrastructure, our housing is not, it's not abundant enough where we can take on more people. It's not like the 1800s where you could just find a piece of land and build a house on it.
So if he starts giving, so if he starts paying mothers $5,000 to have children and stuff like that, do you believe that those problems will be solved in 10 to 15 years when those babies are starting to become big as adults?
Well, at this rate, our birth rate, I don't think even matches our death rate. So, yeah. I mean, people are going to die and they're going to move into their housing.
What are you
On top of.
What are you basing on? If you're saying we don't have the housing and the infrastructure now, what are you basing your belief that we'll have it in 10 to 15 years on? What's leading you believe it will be there in 10 to 15 years that's not there now?
Well, hopefully we have better government that will streamline the building process.
So-
Because there's a lot of places complaining that, the red tape is so bad right now that they can't build new housing, especially like in California.
So you're basing it solely on hope.
Well, it's just one of it. It's also just straight up, people are going to die and their housing is going to be available for these kids as they grow up.
In 10 years, we're gonna have so many deaths within the next 10 to 15 years that we can pay people $5,000 now. By the way, where's the money? You're telling me the money's coming from tariffs. If we impose these tariffs, you don't believe in the prediction that tariffs are passed down to the customer. So even if we impose tariffs, it ain't like we're actually getting money from these other countries because they're going to pass that tariff price down to the consumer. So in reality, you and I pay that tariff, not the country that's shipping the good.
No, in a way, it's both. Because you're still hurting only imports. So all the American products are going to be cheaper. And, there's ways to force the company bringing in the product to pay the tariff.
How?
It's not going to always be given to the customer,
Listen,
especially if you start having American competition.
if I got let's say I got a cell phone business in America and my phones, come from some other country. When I decide how much to charge you for that phone, I'm going to factor in the price of everything it takes for me to be able to get that on the shelf so you can buy it. If you impose a higher tariff, to make it more expensive for me to get that in here from China, I'm not going to sell that phone to you at the same price. I'm going to add that into the price. So when you buy that phone from me, you're paying more than you would have paid before Trump got in office and imposed the tariffs. Does that not make sense?
No, it does, but you're looking at it a little bit wrong. Like, even Harris was going to raise taxes, but she was going to raise taxes on everybody, where Trump is only imposing taxes on the shit that comes from overseas. So Americans...
That everybody buys.
Yeah, but would you rather have taxes on everything or only the shit that comes from overseas?
I mean, when you factor in
on like half the products and all of them.
Debo, thanks for the sub. When you factor in the sheer amount of goods that come from overseas, I mean, how many Americans do not have overseas products in their possession, in their home, in their car? I think every American is buying shit from overseas. So essentially, yes, you are taxing everyone.
Groceries come locally, a bunch of stuff.
Not all of them. No, we don't. I don't think we.
Not 100%. Nothing's 100%.
Right. I don't think we grow bananas and avocados and shit in this country. That stuff's coming from other places.
And we can always make exceptions for those too. The stuff that we need to make exceptions for. But no matter what, I'd rather have taxes on only the shit that's from like China versus taxes on everything.
But that's everything. But Margarita, that's the point. When you say I would only rather have
Not everything.
what percentage of
It's a corporate tax rate on everybody. So corporations were gonna raise tax to get taxed more, and guess what? They're gonna make us pay those taxes too.
I guess in hearing you speak, I think the issue is I don't think you realize the sheer volume of shit that you purchase that come from China. It come from these countries that
No, I realize it, but it's still less than all. It's still less. No matter how much shit we buy from China, it's still a smaller amount than all of it. Would you rather have a 10% tax on everything, like everything, 100% of everything, all the shit from America and all the shit for China? Or just, even if it's, let's say you're right and it's like 80 or 90% came from China. Getting taxed on 90% of the shit is still better than getting taxed on 100%. where I don't believe it's 90%. It's probably like 60 or 70%.
I mean, that's like saying losing both of your legs is better than losing all your limbs. I don't want to be involved in none of that. I mean, 90% is better than 100%.
You'd rather lose all 10 fingers instead of just 9 or 8.
Hey, you don't deserve an award for spin. Really, you just said some shit like that? Oh my
I'm
God.
not trying to spend. I'm just trying to explain things to you. Like,
Okay.
we needed to raise taxes to pay for shit, or raise production, or we needed more money somehow. And
I don't think
instead of
anything
charging
he's MAGA.
corporations and American products, he's only charging the shit that comes from overseas.
I don't think anything he's doing that you're bringing up is going to produce that we need more money argument you're talking about. Because the tariffs are going to literally drag money out of the pockets of citizens, whether it's at 10%. And by the way, the percentage number that Trump is giving, because you keep saying 10%, his tariffs on China has crossed over 200% at one point. You don't fucking know what he's going to do from day to day. There's no way you can.
That's a trade war. That's not like a real tariff.
It's not a trade war. He's the only one firing the shots. China's just kind of, huh?
It's back and forth. They raised.
No.
Then he did again.
China. No, there are countries that have not that had intention. I don't even think China had any intention of fucking with us with any tariffs. Playing games with that. 200%. And you're telling me you think that somehow America's going to be better off for that?
China fussed with us by stealing our IP and stealing our inventions, and not paying us shit.
You think this?
They steal everything that we produce.
You think this is going to stop that? You think this is going to stop that?
Well, no, but it's going to cost them in tariffs. It's going to at least tax them for doing it.
I think that because we have threatened so many other countries in addition to China, the tariffs we impose on China is going to have minimal damage to them because we've brought them so many new trading partners, because everybody damn near in the free world, we've threatened them as well. So yes, China may
We've always had these trading partners.
What?
I doubt these trading partners are going to make up for the USA. Because they've always had them. I mean, Denko's pretending like they just realized that they could trade with Australia and all these other places. They were always there and they were always trading with them.
Okay. Well, I don't believe Japan and some of those other Asian countries are working with China to the level they are now. I think that there's enough countries on this planet that no one country can't equal the United States. But if you put a bunch of them together, you never know what may come out of it. And not to mention, we could potentially be forming alliances that may help them militarily. There's a lot of other benefits they're going to get out of those alliances. So it ain't just from a tariff standpoint. We are literally giving China new partners, new trading partners, new allies. I mean, they're benefiting from this in more ways than just one.
Listen, just because I'm explaining what's going on doesn't mean I agree with it. I personally think it was stupid. He should have, just attacked China and China only and saved all this bullshit with Canada and Japan and all these rest of these places, later.
Okay.
Like, he could have still tariffed them, but he didn't have to say anything about it. Just be like, look, we need to impose tariffs because we need to raise money to pay for things like this, like child service.
Fair enough. Okay, last question before I let you go. Considering you are MAGA, you supported Trump. We talked about the Biden economy, the price of eggs and groceries and shit. People were complaining about the price of gas. Why is Trump's poll numbers not necessarily being affected, at least from MAGA's standpoint, even though they're talking about the Dow is now performing the worst we've seen since the Great Depression, which blows out of the water anything Biden could ever have dreamed of? Why is he still remaining so solid among MAGA, even though we're going from tired of winning to maybe tired of living outside? Why is he still doing so well?
Well, the number one reason is the Democrats haven't learned a thing from losing that last election. They're still doing the same shit. They're still advocating for men in sports, men and women in sports. They're still attacking their own voters. Still saying how Latino men are racist and misogynist. They're still doing all the same shit that cost them the election. They haven't, they pretended to talk about it for a little bit, but they didn't really listen or understand why they lost.
Right.
We went through the list like 10 times, but Denkel and all of them are still saying the same shit that cost them the election last time.
So you'd rather go, you'd rather be financially destitute than fuck with the Democrats.
I think we would have been, even as bad as things are, we would have been worse off with the Democrats. Because what would they have done? They would have ran up the debt even more. And
You had Obama for 8 years. You've had Biden for 4 years. You've seen no evidence that they're going to give you a Dow that's comparable to the Great Depression. So you may say you think that, but that's not based on anything that 12 years of the last Democratic Party has given you. We've came nowhere near close to what Trump is doing.
high inflation. Obama's economy was decent. It was a little slow, but it was decent. I have no objection to Obama's economy.
Great
But
Depression.
Biden's economy was horrendous. They went on a spending spree and used COVID as an excuse to spend all the money they could possibly spend. And they gave us an inflation act, and it's like, okay, now we passed an inflation act, inflation is solved. And then it took 2 more years before inflation went down.
You're talking about you're talking about Biden. You're talking about Biden spending. You don't consider Trump giving everybody $2,000 in stimulus money, excessive spending. You're talking about giving everybody $5,000 to have kids. You think he's gotten spending under control?
Well, again, we have to do this because the birth rate is down. He's not the one that came up with this. Like, our birth rate is down. It needs to be much higher. So we need to have more kids born.
Why would you deport you had plenty of people why would you get rid of the largest deportation in history during the time when you admit we need more people?
Kids born, not more people. We need more because those old people that are coming in, they're going to become elderly too. And who's going to take
wait, no, that's not what's migrating to this country is a bunch of old people. What's migrating to the country is the people you guys were complaining about. A bunch of military-age males that will be capable of doing the work that's necessary. You're not going to put a baby out in the field, are you?
In 10 years, 15 years. No, you're right. We do need some immigration. And like you said earlier, even Denkel was saying that they want immigrants. We just want to be able to pick who comes in. Trump gets this rap of being anti-immigrant, but his wife is an immigrant. His VP's wife is an immigrant. He just wants to control our border. Trump's shit was never about, immigration. It's about security as far as, getting rid of criminals, and it's about controlling the border. He never was like, I hate immigrants. He would always be like, I want this country to be more secure because these people are committing crimes. So he's specifically about security and the safety of people, which triggers him in, a lot of ways, but it always gets twisted into hate and racism and hating immigrants. When it's always if you listen, the tone of it is always about security and the safety of people.
Well, no politician, I don't think there's hardly a politician in U.S. history that's ever come out and said, I hate those people simply because God made them dark or God made them Hispanic. They're always going to give you a different reason. Nobody's going to come out and admit hate. As you say, it's security or it's going to be for this reason. Nobody's going to come out and admit, I just have hate in my heart. When they bring diseases or they steal and rob or they're too lazy to work. People create reasons because coming out and admitting that you're damn hateful just sounds like a sin. I got to move it on, though.
Security's always been a common trigger. And then one last thing. Denkel made me laugh. He's literally simping for CEOs losing their bonuses. You heard that too, right? He's like, oh my God, the CEOs, the companies can't give bonuses to their CEOs. He cares more about rich people than America and Americans,
Okay, I didn't quite get that, but I got to move it on. MAGA reacts.
It's a whole time how the CEOs are not getting their bonuses.
Yeah, he said it, but I didn't interpret it the way you did. But thanks for coming through.
I'm twisted
All right.
a little bit.
Yeah, damn right you twisted it. That was MAGA reacts. Looking at the comments, I see Denkel what? The money coming in from our taxes when we work as slaves. Also, that supposedly we're getting money from that Harvard college that they put on hold. To me, Imagine Boo, it just sounds like You know, to me, it almost reminds me of right after the 2020 election when Trump was saying that the election was stolen. And when he was asked how it was stolen, it was everything from the switching votes from Biden to Trump, or from Trump to Biden, or dead people are voting, or just literally throwing up a hodgepodge against the wall to see what would stick. And then just send out Attorney General Jim Barr, or whatever his name is, and see which one of these things you can make into a reality. That's what it sounds kind of like now, is that financially Trump wants to get this country on the right track, but he's just literally throwing against the wall anything he can to see what sticks. And then the next morning he realizes, well, that was a bad idea. Let me change that. Or this sucks. Let me fix that. And I mean, nothing he is doing is consistent. Everything's changing from day to day. And that's why I'm asking the question, why is it that under Trump, folks they seem to have more patience when he doesn't? I don't see anything, at least from my standpoint. I know a lot of you folks are going to say you don't give a damn about my opinion, and you're entitled to say that, but I don't see anything that's leading folks to believe there's this light at the end of the tunnel, because you don't know what he's going to do next. I mean, you can't guarantee there's a light at the end of the tunnel if you're not even for certain they're not going to switch the track in the middle of the cave that you're in. You don't even know if this is the track you're going to ride out. Because if he tells you it's a 20% tariff today, it might be a 40% tariff tomorrow, and he may decide no tariff at all the next day, which is what Dennis Calhoun is saying. Trump is backing down from the tariffs. I mean, we're talking about, when did he introduce the tariffs? April 2nd? So we're talking in the span of a few weeks. Tariffs are all over the place. How do you know there's a light at the end of the tunnel when you don't even know if you're on the track that leads out? Patrick Griffin. Wow, thank you for the support in the super chat. Patrick says Trump is the single most destructive force the world has right now. Damn. By way of yes or no, how many of you folks agree with that? That Trump is the single most destructive force the world has right now. Jesus. The U.S. needs to wake up and see the decline into recession and autocracy. Wow, an autocrat regime he is trying to impose on the American people. For real, wake up. And I see a lot of folks on TikTok are agreeing with that. Now, Patrick Griffin, thank you for your super chat. I think that's in euros. So Patrick is not in America saying that. Patrick is looking at it from the outside, and he's telling us we need to see what they're seeing. It says Trump is the single most destructive force the world has right now. United States needs to wake up and see the decline into recession and an autocrat regime he is trying to impose on the American people. For real, wake up. I get a lot of folks that have said that from other countries. I have seen it. He's not the only one, but that was a pretty strong statement. Successful MD says he is constant with chaos, unstable narcissist. I don't understand, because I tend to disagree that all MAGA's broke. They have money. It's got to be affecting folks who support them. And, let me just say this before I go to the next caller. I'll just say this. I think the issue is this. I don't think no matter, let's say Trump does a great job. Of course, MAGA's want to celebrate that, and they should. But if Trump does a poor job, I don't think you're going to hear MAGA complaining too much, for the simple fact that there's so many angry liberals, independents, and even traditional Republicans, that any MAGA, any Trump supporter that complains that Trump is failing the country economically or for some other reason, they're going to get ridiculed. If you are MAGA, if you voted for Trump and you admit you voted for Trump and you are complaining that you're about to lose your farm, your business, your retirement savings or something like that, it doesn't really pay for you to come out and admit that Trump's not doing well, because the liberals, the independents, and traditional Republicans are going to attack you. See, you funked around and found out. That's what you get. No sympathy. So it doesn't pay for MAGA, if they believe Trump is failing, to ever admit it, because there is no sympathetic ear in sight. So my guess is if for some reason any Trump supporters are not necessarily doing the best under Trump's economy or under Trump's presidency, they kind of got to swallow that, because to admit it is to literally open yourself up for a host of attacks from liberals and traditional conservatives alike. But going back to the box, and that's why they don't. That's why I don't believe you're going to hear them say anything, because it's just not in their best interest to speak out. Going back to the box, Mike. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Trump is succeeding. Says I'm not going to be to read that name, charismatic or something. Says Trump is succeeding. I would be curious if you're suggesting that Trump is succeeding. What metrics? Because I believe in terms of border security, I would give him a successful grade. I think he's doing okay with securing the border. So when you say he's succeeding, give me the metrics of where you believe he is succeeding. Hang on one second, Mike. Will G says, MAGA ain't shit. Typical dancing around when they really mean they need more whiteness in the country. So what do you think about that, Mike? You think that's what this is about, $5,000 to have children, to create more whiteness in the country?
It's exactly what it's about, Tim. This is that other vertical that I was telling you about. This is the white Christian national white supremacy vertical. That's what that is. That's where that comes from, right? To repopulate, listen, you want women back at home. You want white women particularly back at home, having babies. What's Florida doing right now? Lowering the age
for children, 13 for child labor.
Yeah, child labor. They can work longer hours. They can work longer hours with less breaks. I mean, it's right out the playbook. Listen, okay. So Tim, you asked a question earlier. I answered that. I want to read something to you real quick.
Sure.
You tell me, because I'm going back to the root of this. Cult leaders are often exhibit traits associated with antisocial personality disorder and psychopathy, including manipulation, dominance, a strong desire for admiration, and lack of empathy. They frequently create a cult of personality, fostering an image of themselves as a savior or prophet. Their followers are often indoctrinated through coercion, persuasion, and a shared belief system, leading to a social control and reluctance to question the leader's authority. Did I just read anything that is not presented in what we're witnessing today?
I mean, I can't deny similarities exist, but here's what I don't get, though. What did Trump do to get this type of love and adoration? What is Trump offering? Now, listen, if I'm dying of cancer and you come in the room and you go, Mr. Miyagi, rub your hands together and give me some kind of cure, I can see why I might view you as some type of God or some type of deity. But I'm asking from a standpoint of Trump, if you're suggesting that there's a lot of cult-like personalities among MAGA, or cult-like followers among MAGA, what has Trump given them, or at least promised them, that would make them have this mentality?
He did. When I say verticals, and if we can I just want to be clear. When we're talking about verticals, you know what I'm saying when I say that, right?
No, verticals.
These pillars. You got these multiple pillars going on at the same time, right?
Okay.
And one of those things is he fear-mongered to... Listen, white people... can you hear me, Tim?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Screen is,
okay, I'll tell you the reason why I'm...
I don't know if you're still there.
Can you hear me? I hear... Can you folks in the audience hear me? Not on my other platforms. For you folks on TikTok, can you guys hear me? Because I hear him loud and clear. Mike, are you there?
Sounds like you coming back.
I don't know what's going on. It's messing up. Okay, because I can hear him pretty clear. Mike, I'm gonna reset you. We'll try it with another caller. I can hear him fine. We hear you and Mike, says King Finn. I don't know what happened there, but we'll try it again. We'll go to King Finn himself and see if it works here. It's messing up. Somebody said.
Hold on, man. Bring Mike back up, because I want to make sure you hear what Mike was about to say to you, because I know exactly where he was going. I done talked to him a couple of different times about this, so I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna reclaim my time, like Maxine said. I want you to bring Mike back up. All right, peace.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let me make sure I don't miss any super chats. I'll go ahead and drop you, and we'll try to continue on with Mike. Mike is Mike is full of shit, says Adolf McDuck. Okay, well, let's find out. Let's bring Mike back up. There we go. Mike, let's see if it works this time. Michael was starting to break up, says Debo. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, are you there, Mike?
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, that's so funny. They say you're full of shit. Here's the thing, Tim. What I just read, they don't want to believe that. When I say verticals, and I'll switch the word to pillars, so I make sure I'm clear. Trump aligned himself, and I've been saying this for months, Tim, with white Christian nationalism, white supremacy, and then they figured out how to fearmonger a large subset of the population with the transgender stuff and deportation. So you got these 4 pillars going along, right? So he indoctrinated them on the beliefs behind those 4
Wait.
pillars.
Give me. Okay. We talked about trends. Give me the 4 pillars.
Deportation,
Okay.
white Christian nationalism, white supremacy, and then the 5th one is just economics, right? Meaning the 1%. So everything I just said, you can correlate every movement that they're doing to one of those 5 pillars.
Okay, but let me ask you this: what's the difference between white Christian nationalism and white supremacy, in your opinion?
Because the white Christians have to believe that they're doing it for their God.
You really think Trump is doing? I mean, 'cause I got a lot of black MAGA. I talk to black MAGA all the time. I talk to Hispanics that support Trump. They don't see it that way.
But all those that you talk to, if you look at them 5 pillars, they either talk about mass deportation or they don't want men playing in their women's sports. I'm literally just look at the 5 pillars, Tim. Everything we're talking about will fall in one of those columns. The thing is, Trump doesn't give a fuck.
Okay, hold on, because hold on a second. And now Papa, what is it? Papa Naya, whatever. Papa Naya Shelley says, I'm a black man and this man does not speak for me. You asked if the TikTok app is worth it. Come on over, I'll bring you up and damn sure show you that.
Listen, ask him. Listen, I guarantee he can say I don't speak for him. I'm telling you, there's 3 things. He's going to talk about the economy, deportation, or he's going to talk about transgender or homophobe. Period.
But what's wrong with that? If Trump is promising to give us a better economy than Biden, if Trump is promising to deport folks who we don't even know who the hell they are, that could have came from a prison or a mental asylum, as he states, or could be a damn terrorist, what is wrong with them really hammering that? I mean, it's almost something that America really needed after the Biden administration.
Did we really need it, or was it fear mongered? Was it okay? I'll give you a perfect example. Were those countries really opening up their prisons and letting all of the worst pour into this country? Did that actually happen?
Well, when you factor in the point,
Actually happened.
well,
It didn't happen.
well, you can't say because you don't know who's here. I mean, they do have a few cases like the Colorado apartment complex. I mean, they do have enough to at least put together a rebuttal. And the fact is, when you're not doing any kind of background check on people that are coming in and claiming asylum, you can't necessarily speak ill of what Trump is saying. We don't. Under Biden, people came in this country and no proper background check was ran. So the Trump supporters do have a legitimate gripe there.
Did they see any evidence of what he said? Yes or no?
Did they see any evidence of?
Any evidence of all the
Yeah, they did.
opening up their prisons? And how?
Well, you did have some Venezuelans going around New York committing acts of robbery. In fact, Sheriff Grady Judd down in Florida just caught 5 more of them that came in during the Biden administration the other day, and they were on a robbery spree. Listen, I lean left, but not so far left that I see that there's a little bit of validity to it.
But Tim, you said a little bit of validity, but that's not what he sold. He didn't sell a little bit of validity. He sold an invasion. He sold a national security crisis. He sold we're in dire straits. That's why he enacted the 1798 Enemies Aliens Act. So it's not a little. He didn't do anything on a little bit of anything. He did everything on a crisis.
Well, Trump is going to exaggerate and do things real big, but I'm going to give you what you often hear from the right, which is, one is too many. If you know that they're coming over here and they're not going around raping and murdering everybody. Trump went way overboard on that. But the fact is, they are doing it to some. I mean, there's a reason why they're bringing up Lincoln Riley or what happened in Colorado. It is, some of them are coming in the country and they do mean harm.
Again, but my point is they demonize it to get to the vertical, to get to the pillar of mass deportation of black and brown folks, to get them out of here. That's part of the white supremacy movement. You read his Easter speech yesterday, right?
Yes.
None of us believed in a million years that he wrote that.
No.
Right? None of us. He meant what he put on True Social. He meant that shit.
Yeah.
All of this fear mongering and division and hatred and racism. He and his minions have been stirring this pot for a long time.
But Mike, I gotta ask, why the hell wouldn't Biden listen to the American people? I mean, it was pretty obvious that Trump was resonating with the American people under the belief that these immigrants unknown could lead to some major problems for the country. Now, we can go back and forth on how big of a scope of problems they may have caused. Trump greatly exaggerated. You and I agree with that. But it's pretty clear that during his entire campaign, starting from June 2023, that he was resonating with the folks. Why wouldn't Biden address that? People are concerned with who's coming in the country. Why wouldn't Biden have done more?
And I'll say this, and damn it, I told you yesterday when I came back on, I was going to be ready to have this conversation, and I'm not. Because I don't have everything in front of me. But even if here's the thing, Tim, if Trump, and I'm going to answer it this way, if Trump was truly concerned about American safety from the border, he would have signed the bill. We know he doesn't really give a shit, Tim, because he would have let the Langford bill pass. He wouldn't have politicized it. If one is too many, and you don't know when the next one's coming, signing the bill, securing the border as soon as possible should have mattered before writing on it. Yes or no?
Well, I got to push back. Okay, I agree with what you're saying. The suggestion is, if you truly are trying to save America and secure the border, why don't you sign the Biden's border bill? But the notion, here's the pushback. What Biden is offering is about 80% of what I want. But I believe that if I don't sign this bill, I can kick Biden's ass come election day and get 100% of what I want. So I'd rather take this small risk for America and let a few folks in over the next 8-9 months and then win it all. And then I can kick all of their asses out, plus the folks that Biden was going to let. So I'm going to take that gamble, and he won. He won that gamble.
And again, because he manipulated, again, do you want to read the cult leaders and cult members again? Because even if that was the premise, where is the border bill now? They haven't put one piece of legislation towards Congress since he's been in office.
Jeez.
So if it was, matter of fact, if it was that important, the bill would have been ready day one. He did it by executive order. See, because they can't come out and say what I'm saying. They can't come out and say everything we're doing is behind white Christian nationalism. It's racist. It's misogynist, and they can't come out and say that. No. That's why he denied Project 2025. If what he was doing was on the up and up, don't you think that he's egotistical enough to say it?
I'm not arguing with that.
Okay. So then, this is where black people voted, a lot. I can't speak for all of them, but a lot of them voted. Either they didn't have the information, or they were selfish. More, I'm worried about my pockets, not the overall.
I think that's why. I honestly think that's why most people vote. Which is why I said before on the program when Elon was talking about giving everybody $6,000 or whatever. I stated back then, if you give Americans enough money, you can bring back slavery. Everybody's focused on their pocket. They will look the other way while you do whatever the hell you want to do. As long as you're making their life better, they don't give a fuck about what you're doing to other people.
I don't disagree with you. You'll never hear me. I push back on that because I believe the same thing. Yeah. But they voted on things that aren't happening. Now they've all pivoted to get on board with the shit that they didn't acknowledge before the election. They didn't acknowledge Project 2025 and all this horrible shit that's happening. They didn't want to acknowledge that people that were U.S. citizens or people that were here legally would get deported. They didn't want to acknowledge that when we kept telling them, but we saw it because we knew what the overall agenda is. Those 5 pillars I'm telling you about are real.
Well, let's be clear. If you're talking about if you want to have the notion that Trump is somehow promoting white supremacy or some of this other stuff, if you are a straight white Christian, no, you don't really have to be concerned with Project 2025 because it's actually to your benefit. So there's a reason why they're not screaming out about Project 2025. It kind of puts you on top of everything.
But they didn't even say, they told us we were lying, Tim. They told us we were fear-mongering. It didn't exist. Fake news.
Why the hell am I going to come out and admit that I'm playing your ass and about to put you on the bottom of the pyramid? Of course I'm going to lie to you and tell you it ain't about to happen. You're not vote for me if I tell you the truth.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing.
All right.
That's my whole.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. They lied. And here's the thing. They won't even admit it. MAGA Reacts got up here and twisted himself. That's why I tell you he's the number one fluffer. That's why if you ever notice when he comes up, I always say, wash your hands and gargle. If you ever notice.
Oh my God. Wash your hands and gargle? Damn.
It's hard to have a conversation when people won't just say, I didn't vote for tariffs like this. This is not what I voted for.
That's a good point.
So maybe he's not who I thought he was. I didn't vote to see people without not get due process. Instead of convince themselves that they got due process. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm not gonna listen because I've been one that I got Gangsta Grandma in the comments chewing me a new one right now for taking
She's
them.
coming too.
Huh?
Oh yeah,
She all over me. But I'm never one to actually put myself in a position where if my candidate of choice is fucking up, I refuse to admit it. And you're right. There are some folks that no matter what their candidate does, they're not going to admit that he might be doing something wrong. You're just never going to get that out of me. I'm willing to point out if they're not getting something right.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it, like today, Trump's like, well, the tariffs on China are going to decrease significantly. Xi Jinping is kicking his ass, right? And people around him are finally starting to tell him, this ain't going to work out the way you think, my guy, because there's no way he comes off of this horse if he doesn't feel like that it's not working out. But if he's going to spin this shit and they're going to buy it. He's going to spin this shit to a good thing. Tim, as sure as I'm sitting here, they're going to buy whatever he tells them, which is the cult of personality thing. I'm not making this up because I want it to be that way. I'm saying it because it is that way. When the International Monetary Fund warns about the global economy and the consumer sentiment is the lowest it's been since 1952, somebody after me is going to come up here and tell me that what I just said is bullshit.
I'm getting them they're in the comments now. They're in the comments now.
I know. And the crazy part about there's nothing I just said that they can't go fact check. But if they go fact check, then they have to start coming to a realization.
No, if they attempt to fact check it, they're going to say the source that's giving you that information is also bullshit. Like Trump was talking about firing Powell because the guy wanted to, didn't want to do what he wanted to do with interest rates. I mean, so they'll just say the source sucks.
And now what's he saying?
And now because he realized how unpopular that is, now he's saying, well, I never planned on firing the guy. So, I mean.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And again, this is what tells me these people are in the cult. Because I don't believe that they would accept that from anyone else in their life. I don't believe that they would want to continue to work at a company that told them one thing today and another thing tomorrow. I don't believe they would accept it from their children if they asked their kid and they would find out that their kid was lying to them consistently. I don't believe they would continue to believe the lies. I just don't believe it. So if that's the case, they are so deep into this, they've gone into their pillar. They're in that pillar that I gave you, Tim. There's some races. And listen, I'm going to give you another example. If I wasn't accurate, then why consistently on this app and any app you can find white folks talking about Carmelo Anthony in terms you shouldn't even consider using as a person if you didn't have racist tendencies. You shouldn't say he deserves an Emmett Till treatment. You should never say that. You should never say he deserves the George Floyd treatment. You should never say that. And Tim, you know I'm telling the truth. You can go on any live right now that's right leaning, or even one that's left leaning, and if that topic's up, look in the comments.
Yeah.
So everything that we're
I've had people tell me that, and I actually believe that you and I debated on that, and I believe that Carmelo Anthony did kill the guy and deserves at least some time in prison. And I've had people tell me stuff like that. He deserves to be, given the George Floyd treatment and shit like that. So look, I mean, racial topics bring out racial people. I gotta move it on, but I do agree because I've had it told to me.
And what is the right doing about it?
Doing about what?
Doing about they don't say anything against it. Like when is the last time? And I'm gonna go after this. I want you to answer this. And ask in the chat, when is the last time we heard a word come out of Trump's mouth that was unifying?
That ain't his aim. He's looking out for his people. His goal. Look, if you don't support him, he don't support you. Trump is a president that greatly rewards loyalty. And I mean, even if you've been loyal to Trump for 15 years and we're on year 16 and you have a problem with something that he's doing, the 15 years prior don't mean anything. He needs continual loyalty. So obviously he's not going to reward the Democrats. He's not in office to reward the American people. He's in office to reward folks who supported him, and he supports you. I mean, that's just how he operates.
But what you said was, which I can appreciate, you said he's not in office for all Americans.
I don't see any other reason. I don't see any reason not to think that. I mean, if you don't support Trump, he don't support you.
Right. And so now, when you look, if you know he's not in there for all Americans, and you look at the moves he's making that are impacting some Americans negatively more than others, the collateral doesn't matter. The MAGA reacts don't matter. You know what I mean? He thinks he matters. Doesn't give a shit about MAGA reacts. He doesn't give a shit about anybody that's not in his circle of influence and that are going to help him and his people reach those 5 pillars. He got their vote already. He already told them, I just need your vote.
Well, I mean, somehow, some way, they feel like they're being gratified, so they're rolling with him. They think that Kamala Harris and Biden are going to destroy the whole damn country. So they believe that, they're putting their trust in Trump. They're getting more out of that. Mike, I do got to go. As always.
Tap the screen, share the live, y'all. Let's get Tim up to about 40,000, 140 people in here. Tap the screen, share the live. Appreciate you. MAGA Reacts is crazier than a box of. Never mind. I'm not gonna say.
All right, Mike. As always, thank you. Real quick, I wanted to respond to Patrick Griffin. Wow. Now I was talking about, I do take the other side on some issues. The ability to play devil's advocate is something I pride myself on. And Patrick is pointing out when I said one too many immigrants coming in this country and harming people. Obviously, it's not to the degree that Trump led people to believe. Mexico is not sending their best and brightest. They're just sending a bunch of rapists and murderers. That's patently false. We see that. But one person being hurt by an illegal immigrant, I stated one is too many. Well, Patrick pushed back, and he pushed back hard. Patrick Griffin, thank you for the super chat, says, one is too many, but you let your own citizens obtain guns and kill children, and yet that same argument of one is too many will not be heard. I'll go ahead and concede a loss on that statement any day. You are 1,000% correct. I can't argue with that. That is true. One is too many, but we'll entertain school shootings all day long. I got to protect my right to the Second Amendment. Got to protect my right to own guns. I mean, they should have secured the school more. You ain't taking my guns away. So Patrick, I listen. I like to be able to push back when I can, but yeah, you get to win on that one all day, every day. One is too many, but yet you let your own citizens obtain guns and kill children, and yet that same argument of one is too many will not be heard. And not only is it not heard, it's not even mentioned. We give them thoughts and prayers and go right back to the range and continue firing. I we don't even listen to it. That definitely is somebody that's not in America to say that, though, because that is uniquely outside of this country. Anyway, looking in the comments, though, Patrick hating because he can't buy a firearm. What? That's how you took that, Papa Onaya? You says that Patrick is hating because he can't buy a firearm. He over there running from pocket knives. He's talking about children being wrongfully killed, and that's what you think is he's saying that out of disgust because he can't buy a gun? Wow. All right, let me go back to the box. Jesus Christ. Real quick in the comments. Mighty Mulatto. That's a hell of a name. Immigration has always been an issue. Chinese opium dens. I can barely read. Ruining North European girls. Chinese opium dens are ruining North European girls. Japanese workers sleeping Northern European men under their benches, and it's not polite to talk about. Well, I'm assuming it's being talked about in those countries. You're not going to hear a conversation in America about Chinese opium dens ruining North European girls. I mean, America tends to focus on what's happening in America. So it's just not going to be covered here. But that's not to say it ain't happening. America don't tend to care what's happening in other countries. We really don't. I mean, we are very self-centered in this nation. We expect everybody to care about us, but in reality, we really could care less about other people. Going back to the box, though, actually, he was racist in the 90s, but I think he's changed. You said, name one thing, look up the Central Park. Oh, so you guys are talking in the comments. I already know where that conversation is going. Let me go back to the box. We'll go to the one and only Miss Mo Betta. Good evening, Miss Mo Betta. Now, I know Gacy Grandma thinks I'm fluffing. Am I getting something wrong here, Miss Mo Betta?
You tend to give Trump a lot more credit than he deserves.
In what way?
In a few ways. I mean, I'm a little brain fog, but you.
Happens to the best of us. What I mean, how am I giving him credit? For what am I giving him credit he does not deserve?
I can't remember the conversation because I was saying something you was having a conversation with. It might have been MAGA Reacts or something. No. Well, again, I forgot what the actual thing. I should have wrote it down like I normally do, but I failed to do that.
All right. Okay, so I'll prevail this time. You didn't. I'll escape this one here.
You got that one. But however, welcome to Handmaid's Tale with them. The $5,000 to have a baby, but the bill is $6,000. What is $5,000 supposed to do for a woman having a baby?
You know, when I lived in Australia, I left here in 2009. Now, I moved over there in like 2004, 2005, and people were telling me, because I met a few African Americans over there, not very many, but apparently back in the 70s, Australia still had what they referred to as a Keep Australia White law. So it was very difficult for people of color to come over there. Well, anyway, when I left Australia in 2009, they were doing this. They were literally offering $5,000 to mothers to have children. They were doing this exact same policy when I left there. So, go ahead.
The amazing part about that is you want people to have babies. You want to cut Medicaid and Medicare, which a lot of people depend on that in this country to have children. Who's supposed to cover these bills? You don't want to give SNAP benefits and things like that a lot of these mothers depend on to feed their children. Who's supposed to feed these children? So what are you going to do? Have people, like I was saying before, to a guy who don't believe me when it comes to the afterbirth is what people know it, but it's the placenta. It's the placenta they want. You don't get it from abortions. You got to have to go to full term and deliver a baby to have the placenta.
What do they want the placenta? What do you mean by they want
a lot of nutrients and vitamins and different things that help them out. That's what they want. They don't want the babies.
So what are they going to do with the placenta?
They create like medicine and stuff. Some women you can apply to have your placenta back after you have your baby. You use it for all the health benefits in the vitamins and all of that stuff that's in a placenta. Yeah, that's a real thing.
I've never heard of that.
That's what I said. They don't want the babies. It ain't the babies that they want. You see now. All of these foster cares and all of that stuff, is full of children that have nobody to help take care of them. Go to those orphanages and get those kids if they want the population to go to continue. Like, people having babies for what? Make this shit make sense.
Well, he's saying he wants to raise the birth rate. Now, I've had folks like, I think both Denkel and Mike indicated that there may be some racial overtones to this. But as Creed is pointing out on YouTube, well, can the black mothers get the $5,000? I'm going to assume the $5,000 applies to everybody, but people are saying this sounds racist or has racial overtones.
It very much is racist. And I know you've seen plenty of conversations with the white nationalists, saying how the population is decreasing and the white people are losing their power. We're becoming the minority and different things like that. But here's the problem for them.
So you're seeing this from a standpoint of replacement theory.
Oh yeah, they feel that they're being replaced, and this is why the DEI and all of that stuff was taken away, because they feel like they've been being treated unfairly. Excuse me. So when Jasmine Crockett called their asses out on this, it's like DEI. Point this out to us that the white man is suffering more than anybody in this country.
Yeah, I don't.
Point it out. Show us where they're choosing a black person over a white male in this country.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
And I see in the comments, Will says, of course they don't see it. They think that it's normal or a necessary evil. So, yeah, I mean, because still in this country, even though we've had Obama and we got some of the most largest cities in this country have black mayors. I mean, the country still is predominantly controlled by white males. I mean, there's no denying.
And it will forever be. That's the only reason why Trump won, is because he ran against a black woman. You think they would see first of all, they think we're all ghetto.
Well, he beat Hillary Clinton. He beat Hillary Clinton.
That we're educated or smart enough to run those positions. You see how they tried to tear Kamala down. They didn't even acknowledge all of her credentials.
But wait a minute, Mr. Mobetta, he beat Hillary Clinton. She's not a black woman.
She's a woman.
Okay, so being a woman is part of the equation as well.
Racism and misogyny is how he won. It's not because people don't really love him. They don't really love him. They just love what they love what he's against. They hate what he's against. You know what I'm saying? So what he don't like, they don't like. So we're gonna go.
I vehemently disagree with you. I think MAGA loves the hell out of Trump. I mean, you can't be suggesting that these folks are in the cult, but they don't like their leader. That doesn't make any sense. I think they love the hell out of him.
Well, maybe they don't know any better. I don't really know. Maybe they don't know any better because
that's insulting.
And for Kamala did not tear herself down. She did not tear herself down. It's just that it was a total disregard, because she didn't lose by much when it came to Trump. What was like 1.9% or something she lost by? It's not like it wasn't the landslide that he was lying about, as he always does. That's all he do is lie, and they buy into his bullshit.
Well, I got a viewer, Papa Onaya Shelley on YouTube, says, how educated are you if you still think Kamala Harris is black?
Because she is black. You're denying that. We're not. Yeah. We know she's black. You're the one who's denying that she's black. It's not my fault that you can't accept that.
I get folks
out. It's not a problem.
I've had folks suggest that quite often, that Kamala Harris is not black, and I'm like,
they said Obama wasn't born here. He's born in Kenya or somewhere. His birth certificate was fake. They don't, because he smoked cigarettes. Oh, he wore a tan suit. He didn't put on a button. Michelle was a man. Like, it's the
I'm laughing because I've heard all of that stuff. I've heard everything.
The brain function that they have is just so uncanny. Like, who raised these people?
I'm laughing because I've heard everything you just said, from being a man to him being born in Kenya, not wearing a flag lapel, a tan suit, being on stage without a flag behind.
With all kinds of shit. And what MAGA is not doing now, they're not pointing out the numbers. You don't hear no MAGA people point out the numbers of how with inflation, with everything going up, they don't don't talk about none of that stuff. They get, when you start pointing out numbers and statistics to them, they come up with the whataboutisms.
But I'm going to ask that. That's one of the questions I asked in regards to the program. Considering that they're claiming that the Dow is now resembling its worst performance since the Great Depression under Trump, why is it that his poll numbers, compared to someone like, say, Biden, where the price of eggs or gas went up a few bucks, why is Trump, whose Dow performance is considerably worse than Biden's, why is his poll numbers remaining stronger than Biden's when the economy is doing so much worse under Trump?
Because they slow as fuck. And there's really no other way to put that. Because other than that, to say anything other than that, you'd be sugarcoating. They slow as fuck. Because the men lie, women lie, and those numbers don't.
Well, they do tend to think some of the numbers are inaccurate, though. I've had folks suggest that the sources that you get the information from is just out to get Trump or whatever.
Of course, anybody, that's what makes them so cultish. Because anybody, you can have professionals, people that has been practicing numbers and all of that stuff, economists that's been for years, and they'll say, oh, well, that's fake news, or they don't know what they're talking about, or they just have Trump derangement syndrome and stuff. That's how you know they're in a cult, because they never call him out on anything.
But then I'm asking you the same thing I asked my last caller. What has Trump did for folks to have that much love and adoration for him that they're just going to be, as you calling them, cult members? Like, what has he given? What has he promised? What has he delivered to make them that invested?
He ran against a black woman, Tim.
That's all it takes?
They keep trying to say, oh, they make it about race. This country is built on race. It's built on nothing but racism. And what happens is now, when they're called out on it, that now they want to deny it. Don't deny it now that you're being called out on it. This is how this country is built. This is how the country's been ran. So why should it all of a sudden go away?
But I get Black MAGA on the program. I talk to Black MAGA.
They slow too. They bought into that bullshit too.
You know that's insulting. You're saying that MAGA's just slow. I mean, they know what they want for this country as well. Why do they have to be slow? They're going to suggest that it's some of the liberals.
Trump himself said when he was to run for office, it would be Republican because they're moo-moos. Easily manipulated. They buy into stuff. They have this illusion that once he gets in there, what he does, they're gonna match his status. Oh, he's gonna make us rich like him. What does your portfolio look like? You know what I'm saying? They think they're gonna be rich like him for some reason.
You really think that there are some MAGA that believe that by electing Trump, they're gonna somehow reach his level?
Especially the black ones. The black MAGA really think, because again, they saw that one day with the stock market, they saw that one day, and it was like, oh, my portfolio doing good. But you didn't come back the next day and say how much you lost on it either.
That sounds like a typical person at a casino. You hit one day and you're bragging about how much you won. You didn't tell us what you did last Friday when you went out there, though, did you?
That next day and say, damn, that bag that I was holding, it was just dropped. So stop. So that's when you talk to another MAGA person, a black MAGA, blagger, like I call them, what the first thing they gonna say, oh, what's your portfolio look like? Oh, we making money under Trump. You ain't making no money because he ain't making none. You know what Trump is making? Enemies. Damn. That's what he's making. He's making enemies and having us pay for them.
But in closing, before I move it on from you, this is just speculation. I'm hearing folks say no matter what is happening with the economy under Trump, it's still just literally universes better than what would have happened if we had gave it to Kamala Harris to run. Folks still believe no matter how bad the economy is, if you had to put Kamala Harris in charge, it would have been significantly worse.
Well, again, the devil is having a field day down here, Tim.
Damn.
Right now, to really support Trump like that, you really have no moral, low humility, and a very low IQ. I'm sorry. That's just how I see it. You don't care. Like I said, that you want to be Christian one time and then support him in the next breath. Those two things don't go in the same sentence. First of all, when he took office, he didn't even put his hand on the Bible. Did you hear any of those Christian
Well,
nationalists talk about that?
he did do it the first term. No, he did not do it the second term. I don't know why.
And he's 10 times as bad as he was this first run. So now I blame the Supreme Court again because y'all put it so where he can go unhinged with no guardrails, and Congress, they're so weak that they're not calling him out on nothing.
3.5 years. 3.5 years. Will it get better? I mean, we got 3.5 more years of them.
I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. There's going to be a lot of people in the poorhouse, and I wish MAGA would stop saying they're patriots because they're not. There's nothing that he's doing that says that it's patriotism at all. He's attacking his own people, and that's what those wildebeest do. Eat their own.
Damn, you
That's what's happened.
You compared it to a wildebeest? Damn, girl.
He's a wildebeest. Nobody likes him. People
Well-
hate that. Well, he's more like a Tasmanian devil. Nobody likes to see him coming.
He is the most popular president in the Republican side in our entire. He's surpassed.
He gives people stuff to talk about. He like you said, it ain't boring politics.
No.
So when you hear people like me get up here and talk, ain't no talking nice. It's not talking nice about him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He doesn't give me nice things to say about him.
He is officially surpassed Ronald Reagan as the most Republican politician, probably ever. So.
Well, again, you also dealing with people with all kind of money too. They, we deal a lot of people, especially this country. We're big on glorifying somebody else's status financially, and that's what's keeping him afloat. That's why people was, oh, look at Elon, he's a billionaire. Oh, they got billions. But you don't, so shut up. And you're going to be paying just more taxes than they are.
Well,
So shit.
hopefully we don't get too deep into it. But Miss Mobetta, as always, thank you for coming through.
Indeed.
Grim picture. She, and I'm hearing this from caller after caller. I got to get more MAGA on the program because, man, you guys these liberals are about to make me cry. Because if it's gonna be that bad, damn. I mean, I'm just trying to think. I mean, everything you buy is going to go up. The interest rate on everything you purchase, the likelihood you can afford a home. Hell, by the time it's done, you may not be able to afford an apartment. The whole tiny house living may take over. I mean, it's a grim picture that my liberals are painting. I kind of want to talk to somebody on the other side of the aisle just to lighten things up a bit, because man, this is sounding dark. It's gonna get so much worse, says Michael Schmeltz. By the way, folks, before I go to the next caller, tap the screen on TikTok. Show your boy a little bit of love. Tap the screen. Good minute of tapping. Give me up to 50,000 on the likes. It helps out the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA. You know how the program is ran. We are indeed MAGA friendly. Been that way since day one. We don't block, ban, or censor. I gotta get me another one of these. This hat is smashed as hell. And right now, I have it because I have a Trump was right about everything hat. But I used to hold it up when Trump said something that I thought was correct. I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard him say anything lately. If I hear him say something that's right, we used to wave this around, but it's been a while because I don't think he's right about the tariffs at all. But I'm not just always critical of President Trump. But anyway, if you favor this type of programming, we don't block, ban, or censor. We believe in everyone being able to speak regardless of your political affiliation. You can be critical of anybody on the program, including yours truly, by the way. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. So if you kind of enjoy that type of open dialogue in a civilized fashion, I'd ask that you follow the program if you're watching on TikTok. We're currently on Instagram where Sherbert said that's a stupid hat. And if you're watching on YouTube horizontal or YouTube vertical, give your boy a subscription. You know how the program works. We're generally here Monday through Friday, but nevertheless, it's a stupid ad on Sherbert. What's so stupid about the hat? I'm real curious. Looking in the comments, it's got to get worse before it gets better. It takes time for you to see how policies changes. Okay, hang on 1 second, Sherbert. Robert Maples on YouTube says it's got to get worse before it gets better. It takes time for you to see how policy changes make it better. Here's the problem. Trump only has 3.5 years in office. Because we don't know for certain if the guy that follows Trump is going to continue down this same path. So he needs to make it get better before his ass leaves office. And even if it does get better in the long run, how much money has people lost? People are losing money every fucking minute. So even if it starts to get better, are they going to recoup all that money? Sherbert, good evening.
Howdy, Tim.
I heard a man doesn't like the hat. What's
Well, it's just false like 99% of the time. He might stumble into the truth every so often, but that man is almost never right. He's just blustering with bravado more than actual truth.
Well, the belief was we did need to secure the border and that Biden wasn't doing a good job at it.
I'm fucking done with talking about the border, Tim.
5,000.
Hysteria beforehand, and then they didn't really do much except crack down on people. It's so dumb. People have hatred towards migrants, and I don't like bullies, Tim.
But I agree. There's definitely a play of hate involved in it. But I do believe that under the Biden administration, border security was lacking. You don't agree with that?
Not really.
You see,
What did he change?
huh?
What did he change? I don't know what he
Well, shit. They're suggesting that 90% of border crossings have been halted. I mean, you got folks saying that virtually nobody is being caught trying to enter the country anymore, whereas under Biden, it was thousands of people per day.
I don't know if I believe that, Tim. Especially when they're talking about the ones that come across the border and they didn't actually see. They're just going off of what they think.
No. When I say that, I mean encounters. In other words, you actually are involved in an encounter with somebody at the border. They're saying that encounters at the border is down like 90%.
Maybe, but if Mega Reacts can talk utter horse shit about everything, I can believe they're lying about the border.
So you don't believe Trump has done any better than Biden at the border?
I don't know what he did. I mean, they just said we did so good, but they never actually broke down what he did.
Well, shit.
I mean, do you know what he did?
Well,
He signed an executive order, but I don't know what was in that order other than we can now deport everybody.
I'll tell you for starters, just the sheer fear of what may happen to you. I mean, knowing that if you come to America, even if you come here legally through a port of entry, your ass may end up in El Salvador. That's an excuse right there to deter folks from coming here. So I can't imagine that the numbers under Trump is the same as they were under Biden.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But just because he's a bully doesn't mean he actually did very much for it. I understand the fear that he's doing, and I understand why people think it's a good thing. But it's not. We had low unemployment, and so it means we don't have people to fill these factories that they want to bring back into the country. And so without people picking our fruit, and without people to actually continuously make these parts, we're not doing anything except shooting ourselves in the fucking leg.
Then what about the $5,000 per shorty? Might that be a solution in the future?
Yeah, we had that. It was called the child tax credit, except he wants to do it with executive orders instead of passing the bills like he should be with the majority in Congress and the Senate.
Yeah. Well, at this point, though.
Real dumb.
Well,
everything they do is stupidity.
Yeah, but when you say he's supposed to be passing the bills utilizing Congress, which I agree with 100%, let's be clear. Anything Trump passes via executive order, Congress probably would pass it anyway. I mean, they're not going to, he don't even need to just going to Congress just takes a little bit longer time. But the Congress we have in session right now, they're not going to, probably 95% of the shit Trump wants to do, the Republican Congress and Senate is going to approve it.
But they would actually have a leg to stand on if they actually did that. Where right now, everything can be turned over by the next president.
Yeah, well, at least that way they don't go down in history being tied to it.
They
Yeah.
still will be when they apologize for every single thing he does. The same way I will never respect MAGA reacts.
Well, speaking
I
of
respect these senators that are just going along with everything Trump says. They're going to get primary.
well, speaking of MAGA reacts, he states in the comments at least they are doing things. Biden was sleeping.
No, because Biden passed more legislation than any president in our modern history. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Yeah, he wasn't going 100 miles an hour, but at least he was getting things done that couldn't necessarily be overturned just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's up for debate in regards to the fact that Trump is running his presidency based on executive orders. I mean, has Congress done it? Have they submitted any bills to them at all?
It's all small shit like Lauren Boebert, MTG, trying to put up more crazy shit. But other than the things that will never be passed no matter what, I don't think they've put up one thing that would actually.
This would have to end up out of these 2 years if they keep going along this path. This will have to be probably the most do-nothing Congress in history. Like, you guys just kind of conceded him. I mean, literally, you handed him a pen and told him just go ahead and help yourself. You know, like you go to somebody's house and they hand you a remote, anything in the refrigerator you want, go ahead and help yourself. I got to go out and cut the grass. Like, you can do anything you want. That's kind of what they did. They just handed him a pen and said, go ahead and help yourself.
You know what drives me a little more crazy about all that is that at least when Biden did executive orders, he would explain why and what and everything. But when Trump does it, they just come up and go, here, Mr. President, this is what we're doing. Sounds good. Sign away, instead of him actually being able to actually discuss what he's trying to do. He's just got a vocabulary of 40 words, like somebody else said earlier today.
It kind of reminds me of the late Senator Feinstein. Right before she passed away, they were telling her what bill she was signing. She like she was about to fall over and shit. You know, like, you too old to be doing this. And they actually telling her in her ear, this is what you signed, and she just signed it. You're right. When they hand Trump, oftentimes when they hand him these executive orders to sign, they're telling him what it is, and he's just signing it. He's just scratching down on it.
I'm a big fan of term limits. And when somebody hits 80, 90, you don't get to make the laws. I'm sorry. You don't have a stake in the United States longer than what a child is. Like, that's not the right thing to say.
Yeah, but you know the obvious.
At 80, you don't have a stake in anything that actually matters towards the future.
But you know the obvious pushback. If you're going to suggest that once you get 80, you should have limitations on what you can do, the liberals were suggesting that Biden could run another term from the age of 82 to 86. They were fighting to let him get reelected.
And I didn't want him to get reelected because he was too old. I was very depressed when it was coming down to Trump and Biden.
Well,
so that's not really a good argument on my side, just because I didn't want an 80-year-old man in there anyways.
Yeah, but that's you specifically, Sherbert. I'm suggesting that the liberals were trying to put a man in office that was going to be 82 at the start of his term and 86 going out, when he clearly was showing signs of cognitive decline at 79.
But also the Dow Jones wouldn't be at its lowest point since the Great Depression either, if Biden had gotten it.
Well, I don't think
I would rather have the old man that can barely speak than destroying our economy and pissing off all of our allies.
So you do believe that even if Biden's cognitive ability continue to decline, you still would rather trust that man over the economy than Trump?
Well, Tim, things are a lot worse than Trump's first term. And I remember specifically having a fight with my aunt in his first term saying I would rather have a ball of fluff over Trump. And so, yes, I would rather have somebody in a coma running the country more than I'd rather have Trump.
Jesus. That bad, huh?
Very much so. And it's everyone like MAGA and Gen X and Jeremy and DJ Julio, they never really have good answers. They just twist themselves into pretzels to make their hatred more palatable for everyone else.
Well, folks like MAGA Reacts is going to start out by saying, what the hell has he said to make you suggest he has hatred?
Trump has hatred?
I mean, no, you're saying that MAGA, the Trump supporters have hatred. He's going to, like, what has he said or done I mean, being on the show is
Lack of
much,
empathy.
huh?
It's always the lack of empathy. It's always them trying to cut benefits to the old people for SNAP benefits, for all these other things that the government has been doing for a while and actually saves people's lives. But they don't care. It's just a point of hatred, and I got mine. I don't like that. That's bullying.
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of the American way. We are a selfish nation. I mean, let's just be clear. And by the way, JPT Farms, thanks for the hat and mustache. Yeah. I mean, fact is, we are a capitalist country. Capitalism is kind of a me way of living. I mean, so we don't tend to care about each other, and that's not something unique to Trump. That's how we are as a country.
They need to shut up about that we are the greatest country in the world then, if they don't want to do the things to help other people. How are we great? Everyone keeps saying this. We're the number one country. Oh, Jesus loves America. Jesus only loves America.
Yeah.
Why? Why would a deity care about this plot of land?
Yeah.
It never made any sense.
I went to a couple MAGA rallies or Trump rallies rather, and I was in line. You're in line like 5 hours or so waiting to get in, listening to YMCA and all of that shit. Anyway, I'm waiting to get in, and I did have a Trump supporter tell me, because we were having conversations on the line, and he told me exactly what you just stated, that Trump was sent here by God to save America. And I'm thinking that same thing to myself, like out of 180 some countries, why would God be that selfish? Like, fuck all the other ones. We're going to save the rich, the one is everybody is rich. We're going to save that one.
Theoretically, Jesus never even saw this comment.
You said what?
So why? Theoretically, Jesus never even saw this comment. Why would he care about us?
So there's a lot of ways of looking at it where it doesn't make sense. I mean, including what you just said there. But I'm thinking like the rich, you know, when you're thinking about places like Darfur and the suffering that's going on in Palestine, like really America, the country where people driving around SUVs and shit, that's the country you're gonna save? Like that made no sense at all.
It's just their egos, and then if they love themselves so much, then God must love them just as much. Like, well, that's not how that works, guys. You're just believing in a book that was written a long time ago. I'm not the right person to talk about this because I just generally don't like religion, any of the religions, let alone Christianity.
You know, I was brought up in the church. In fact, when I was a young lad, if you had asked me what I want to be when I grew up, I would have said a preacher. I was in church many Sundays, you know, spent whole summers in Bible school. I was brought up pretty Christian, you know, deeply in the Baptist church. And as I've gotten older, I'm not quite at your level where you don't, you know, but I am at the point where it does look like a lot of this stuff is based on nothing. I mean, because I look at a lot of the cruelty around us, some of it now, but it's always been around us in America. And it's like, if we're a Christian nation and it's okay to do, I mean, everything from slavery on up, like we were founded on Christianity while doing all of this shit, it just doesn't look right.
Usually the venom from people is coming from the most religious, the people that say they're going to give the most. Are usually the ones taking away the SNAP benefits. And I don't understand how God would say that's an okay thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe in God, but the God that they believe in sure as hell wouldn't believe in that.
Yeah, you get to no argument from me because, like I said, I look at it and I'm thinking the same thing. Like if we're a nation based on Christianity, right? Like right now we're talking immigrants, but like I mentioned, slavery or you know the oppression of women or what happened to the Native Americans, like the Trail of Tears and all of that. Those are Christians doing all that shit. Like if you can be Christian and do all of that and still get to heaven, like I don't even know if I want to go there and hang out with you. It doesn't sound like a place to be. I'd rather go down to hell. At least maybe I know some people down there. So I mean, really, and what am I going to see when I want to go to heaven and see Stonewall Jackson and hang out with General Lee and all of them folks? I don't want to hang out with them. If they're in heaven, I don't know if I want to be there.
If the people who say they're going to be there are going to be there, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
But Tim, what's another topic going on right now? Because I feel like we've talked about religion a little too long.
$5,000 per baby is what we were talking about. And obviously, the question I asked you earlier, which is why is even though the economy seems to be doing badly under Trump, why is his poll numbers remaining strong compared to Biden, who folks made it sound like the whole country is going to fall apart under the Biden economy. But under Trump, they suddenly have hope. As somebody in the comments stated, you got to let things get a little rough before they give. Nobody, they would have never entertained that under Biden.
Well, it's all their attention span and the whole TikTok world right now. Because Trump is out there literally every day making headline news every 3 days, we never stop thinking about him. So the people that are not going to choose to actually think are just going to go, well, he's out there. He says he's doing great, so he must be doing great. And if you can convince the low IQ people to then just keep, yeah, rally cry, well, they're going to keep, showing up for those rallies.
I got it.
Stop talking for the last fucking 8 years, 12 years now.
Can you blame him? No, it's working pretty effectively. I got to give it up to the guy. The guy knows how to rally his base. I mean, I haven't seen any liberal. Even Obama did not have the love for him that Trump has from his base. Even Obama supporters were not as strong for Obama as Trump supporters are for him.
Fair, but I've never wanted to punch a group of people more than I do with all the Trump lovers, or as I like to say, the Trump sexualists.
Why would you want to? I mean, listen, they are voting for Trump because they believe he has the best vision for America. Why would you want to hurt them for that?
The same reason I want to punch MAGA Reacts.
You know he's listening, right?
I'll never meet that guy. And if I did, I wouldn't go straight out swinging, but when he starts talking this mad bullshit, I might have to.
Oh my God. The man just sees Trump as a better candidate. I got to move on, Sherbert, but no political violence, man.
No, that's not political violence. That's just violence.
Okay, and he's in the comments. He's in the comments suggesting he's ready to go with you, Sherbert.
South Texas, my friend. South Texas.
Oh my God. Appreciate you coming through. You too, you too. All right, moving on with the program, and that was Sherbert. Like I said, folks, we do also appear on Instagram. That's where that caller was coming from. So if you have TikTok or Instagram, for my YouTube viewers that want to know how can I get on and actually talk, if you have the TikTok app or Instagram, we are on the same name, the Handsome Liberal, across all platforms. But currently we're live on TikTok and Instagram right now as well. Clapper's another one. I do want to go into this real quick before we get to the next caller and start covering the topic again. It is appearing as if TikTok may go down again. I'm seeing that the Chinese are now like, fuck it, because the relationship between China and Trump has gotten so bad. I think that China may be doing things deliberately to troll Trump, hoping to maybe cause more dissension in America. Now, keep in mind, they know what's going on in this country. Not to mention, we're talking on one of their social media platforms, so they know what's going on. So it would not surprise me, just like America used to do. America used to get involved in the politics of other countries. I don't hit the damn cord and took out my monitor, but America's always been known to get involved in politics of other countries to try to cause division in their countries. That's one reason why the Russians were after Hillary Clinton, because the Clintons got involved in Russian elections, trying to cause dissension and division within the country. China probably is trying to do that right now. And they know at least 30 to 40% of this country are really anti-Trump right now. Just like about 30% of the country is really pro-Trump. About 30% of the voters in this country really, really do not like Trump. So if you can, let's say, get rid of TikTok, guess who's going to get blamed for that? Likely Trump. So I do believe right now the Chinese are trying to do things in this country to troll President Trump, to get the masses in this country, American voters, pissed off at the president for what he's doing with the tariff wars and things like that, targeting red states even. So it does appear as if TikTok may be going down in the near future. I heard in a few days even. I've heard folks saying it. So let me just say this real quick, because remember when TikTok went down, it was only brought up just like when Trump suspended tariffs for 90 days. The same thing involved TikTok. It was put back on, but it was for a temporary period of time. Well, since TikTok was restored, Trump's relationship with China has gotten significantly worse. There's no reason to believe that they're going to come up with a deal this time. Certainly with the Chinese even using AI, artificial intelligence, to put all sorts of ads on TikTok featuring Trump and his family doing everything from picking cotton to working in sweatshops. You know, Trump don't like that shit at all. So it would not surprise me if TikTok goes down. The reason I'm telling you this, folks, is simple. If TikTok goes down, we're going to still continue doing this. We are currently live on Instagram and YouTube, but we also occasionally run live on Clapper as well. All of these are across the same platform, the Handsome. So you can come up live and have engaging conversations just like we're doing now with TikTok, just like we just did with my last caller on Instagram. You can also do that on Clapper. So if for some reason TikTok goes down and you find yourself wondering if this show is still on, check Clapper and check Instagram. And of course, for you folks on YouTube, nothing's going to change for you on YouTube. We'll continue being on YouTube horizontal and vertical the same way we are now. But Clapper and Instagram will replace TikTok if we lose TikTok. Anyway, looking in the comments, I like Clapper says MAGA reacts. It's cleaner. It's a cleaner TikTok clone. Really? I didn't know that. I don't get any support through Clapper though, so I need to figure out how to get that working. Kim is the goodest girl MAGA soldier. Huh? Don't know what you mean by that. You just think more because MAGA types are majority online. No, I got a hell of a lot of liberals on here as well. I don't know about that. Timothy, I can't even keep an account on TikTok for a week. What the hell are you saying on there, Tanya Neal? She said I can't even keep an active TikTok account for a week. You must be saying all kinds of, you're not saying rapist, you're not saying unalived, you're not saying child sex predator. You said all the real words. So that's what's happening. They flagging the shit out of you. Come up with some synonyms. That might help you a little bit. Let me go back to the box. What is that? Says trolling 101. What you call it? Call me Patrick Griffin just moved to Instagram. Oh, all right. There you go. Fair enough. I didn't know that. Good to see you over here. Now, I don't know if I can bring up the guest. They normally have to request it, but we'll give it a shot. Looking in the comments, Clapper and Instagram will never compare to TikTok. TikTok opened up the world to each other, says Chris. You know, I do agree with that. I mean, I don't see, certainly from my standpoint, I've been on TikTok for about 4 years, and I only recently got on Instagram and recently opened up to Clapper. I've used Lemon, but on Lemon, you can't go live. I know some folks use Discord. I've never tried to use Discord, but yeah, I don't see any app for having political discussions the way we do that completely compares to TikTok. I really wish YouTube would allow folks to call through, because a lot of my MAGA that I really like talking to are on YouTube, but you can't take callers on YouTube. I really wish YouTube would do that. Maybe if TikTok goes down, some of those other platforms will step up and create more avenues to make it work. But right now, TikTok is all we got. Let me go back to the box. Discord for chat, not for going live like this. Yeah, and see, we want to be able to go live. Patrick, good evening.
Hey, man.
Hey,
how's it going?
appreciate you coming. Thank you for the support. Now, where are you at?
I'm in Belfast, in Ireland.
Belfast. Okay, so you're in Ireland. So
Yeah.
how are you guys viewing the ongoing changes in American politics?
I lived in America for about 5 years.
What part?
In Seattle, actually.
Okay. So you were in a liberal area. You were all the way over the West Coast. That's considered a liberal area. What did you think of Seattle?
I liked Seattle. It was fine. I lived in London, lived in Dubai, lived in Paris beforehand, so I've been around a bit.
Okay.
Honestly, I can't understand the actual dishonesty that goes on in the politics at the moment in the US.
Give me some examples of what you mean.
It's like, Okay, so there's honesty in legitimizing any action, right, that actually occurs at any point in time. So you have a president that is essentially, and I know people will disagree with me in this one, right, but essentially coming out saying things like Zelensky started the war in Russia. I remember the day the war started in Russia. It was my birthday, and I was watching Russian aggression passing over the border in Ukraine, trying to take over the country. So how anyone could legitimize Putin's actions in those situations is beyond me, right?
Yeah.
And things like saying that, America's been cheated. It's not been cheated. America is the huge consumer of goods, right?
Yeah. Now, let me interrupt for a minute. Now, certainly, I agree with you on. I don't quite understand why he's blaming Zelensky for starting the war. Now, he's suggesting that Russia had some type of promise that the Ukraine would not join NATO, and because they were flirting with joining NATO, that somehow legitimized Russia going in and attacking them. But you're correct, because Russia originally started out using mercenaries to go into Ukraine and start. They were running active missions and denying that it was actual Russian soldiers. They were in the Ukraine, engaging in acts of war with no insignia, no identifying uniforms on, and denying that it was them. But let me ask you this question real quick, Patrick. Now, because you're in Ireland, I got for instance, Gangsta Grandma on TikTok who's watching as well says, why are you even talking about the United States with you not living here? How do you respond to that?
Well, actually, to be honest, because the United States is a pervasive force in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every single nation in the world has now been affected by the tariffs, by the actions of Trump, right?
Yep.
Europe in itself, the United Kingdom, same as, right, has now had to reform its alliances because of the disassociation that the United States Secretary of Defense came to Munich and said, we're gone, see you later, guys, Ukraine is your job, right? I know they're looking for this peace deal, but it doesn't seem like a peace deal. It seems like, how do I get Putin to stop? As in, like, what has actually occurred to suggest that Putin has given any concession whatsoever at this point in time in preventing a continued conflict in the Ukraine? Zero.
Yeah.
Right? I said came out simply, I don't think it's logical for the Ukraine to try and reclaim any of its lost territory. So that's no concession whatsoever. They have Crimea, they have everything. So it's just like, stop where you are, or else,
So what are you saying? You're saying that Ukraine should just, what Russia has taken from them, they should just basically cede that to them?
That's what was said. That's exactly what was...
You mean that's what Trump is saying?
That's what Hegseth said in Munich.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you have the likes of Vance coming over and saying that, and I think this is very ironic, right? In the sense that the enemy is within the EU, right? For saying that, people are objecting to abortions, and he came up with very extreme circumstances which were very isolated and very ill-informed, right, in the UK, and yet you have the counter situation where you have a president, right, giving executive orders banning universities from having free speech. You have a state of your man, what's his name, Krebs, right? He's got an executive order for somebody who gave evidence against him about the legitimacy of the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Like, that's not free speech.
I gotta say real quick, in America, and I'm just even myself, so I'm not just putting the blame on other Americans when I say this, but I'm being candid even myself. we are somewhat ignorant in regards to the politics of what the ongoings are in other nations. You're very aware of. You're talking about Hegseth and the Secretary of Defense. We don't know. We barely even know who runs your country. You guys are incredibly aware of what's going on now. And I was going to defend you before. Now you stated perfectly why someone like yourself in Ireland would be concerned with U.S. politics, even though in my comments people are like, well, you have zero dog in the hunt. Fact is, what we're doing affects your country, and you're rightfully pointing that out. Whether it's disbanding NATO, whether it is fluffing for Russia, getting rid of treaties and alliances, we're affecting your continent. So what you said makes perfect sense. But go ahead.
The thing about it, and I said this earlier on, right? I mean, he keeps on degrading NATO, right?
Yeah.
The only time Article 5 in NATO was actually called upon was Afghanistan and Iraq. And the UK sent 80,000 troops there. Denmark sent 40,000 troops there. France sent 70,000 troops there. Now, granted, the US, obviously, because they were the ones that were directly affected by that, sent the majority of the military force. And from my experience, the US forces were far better serviced, and I would think the equipment and everything that they had at the time when we were there was far superior to what we had. But I don't like words from Vance saying that, we're going to deploy military force from nations that haven't fought a war in 40 years in Ukraine, when the United Kingdom, France, Spain, Germany, Holland, all these countries that went to Iraq, that went to Afghanistan to support the US when they pulled the NATO Article 5 agreement.
Yeah.
It's not right.
You make it interesting.
It's actually false.
You make it interesting.
No, it's wrong. You see, that's the thing. And what Trump is saying is also wrong. Now, the US is by far the biggest contributor, but it doesn't have the biggest percentage of GDP. You look at the Eastern European countries, they're higher. And if you look at the contributions to NATO, they fluctuate up and down. And totalitarianism of the contribution doesn't equate to percentage of GDP.
But now you make an interesting point. Now you brought up Article 5. Let me ask you this question: considering that Trump has pretty much told some nations like Canada, we don't need you, you need us, and obviously we know what he said about the Ukraine, even though Ukraine's not a member of NATO. But let me ask you this in your humble opinion: if America itself was hit again and we needed to invoke Article 5 once again, do you believe those same nations would be as willing?
Absolutely, 100%. But they'd be doing it for the American people, not for your leader, unfortunately. And I don't mean to say that, but listen, I'll be honest about it, right? And your listeners can like it or not like it. There is a legitimacy to the rule of law, 1, to fact, 2, and to the truth, 3, right?
Okay.
And when all those 3 points align, then there is an obligation. That's what we adhere to, right? Regardless of what we may think are the reasons or whatever. And that's what I don't understand. I don't understand how life as a politician in the most the thing about it is you can't say that the US has been ripped off or been cheated. Right?
Well, that is what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying, is that we've been ripped off.
It's the biggest economy in the world. You're the richest country in the world, right?
That's what he's saying.
Supported by everyone else that's in your alliances, and you have this allegiance, and we have an allegiance. Irish people have a massive allegiance to the US, right?
Okay.
And we will do what's right by the American people, not necessarily what's right by your president. Because what we feel at the moment is your president is not telling the truth.
I think there are some Americans that feel the same way. Patrick, I do got to move on, but I want to ask you before I let you go. I want to ask you the relationship between U.S. and Ireland. Maybe some of the perceived damage that you're talking about that may have happened since Trump has been in office. Do you think it's permanent?
I don't think it's permanent in our sense because our affiliation is with Irish Americans, right? I think, honestly, if I was to say something at the moment, I think that the relationship between Europe and the US has been damaged, but not. We understand it's driven by one person rather than a nation of people, right? I would be more concerned about the relationship between the US and Canada because there's a lot of people there disputing against one another, and that's your neighbor, right? And like being Irish, I understand that problems with your neighbor causes problems, full stop, right? Yeah. It took us a very, very, very long time to regain a profitable and progressive relationship with our neighbors, which are English, British people, right? Even though Northern Ireland is part of Britain, right? Or the United Kingdom, I should say. But I would be more worried about the disablement of that relationship, considering the importance.
Well, that's something we were, at least I was concerned with. Is this something that we can have? Because I think the next guy's going to have to do a little bit of apologizing. But knowing that someone like yourself in Ireland does not think it's permanent, it provides a little bit of like.
It's a personality problem rather than a national problem, right? I think if you were to be adopting the approach whereby you would assume that the entire United States of America is of the same approach and personality of Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or whomever you may not like, then I think you're very short-sighted, right?
Yeah. Thank God for social media. People know there's plenty of people in this country that don't agree with Trump. But Patrick, I do got to move it on. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Hey, first time talking. By the way, thanks for the support. Come on back anytime. My door's open to you.
It's very interesting, and there's a guy on there. Talk to him later. You're all right, man.
What time is it over there?
It's nearly 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh shit! All right, man. Get some rest. I'll talk to you later.
All right, boy.
All right.
Easy.
You too.
Cheers, bud.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good talk. Now, that's a new caller. Certainly Ireland, huh? Isn't that where Rosie O'Donnell fled to? I should have asked him that. I believe Rosie O'Donnell, from The View and the old MTV VJ or whatever she used to be, or VH1. She moved back to Ireland. There are some folks in this country that have already began to flee the Trump administration. Ellen DeGeneres, you've known her from having a very successful talk show, and she also used to have a sitcom years ago. She also has moved away. She also lives in the UK, if I'm correct. Ellen DeGeneres, or Richard Gere from Pretty Woman, Officer and Gentleman, and a host of other movies. He also lives in Sweden. He left the country. So some people are already leaving. Some of the folks who have money and have the ability to do so, people are leaving. Have any of you folks considered leaving? By way of yes or no? You don't think Trump is bad enough that you should leave the country, do you? Have any of you folks considered doing that? Leaving America? Anyway, looking in the comments, politicians are the richest politicians are in no way, I don't get what you're saying there, Joe D. Politicians are the richest. I'm nowhere near rich. Is that what you're saying? Well, politicians get a lot of inside shit, that's why. Charles Vaughn and Chris says, yes, you have considered leaving. And I see some folks on YouTube saying the same thing. Wow. considering leaving the country. I'll tell you this before I go to my next caller. If for some reason this whole Trump's going to be a dictator type shit, if for some reason that turns out to be true, I understand that one of the tenets of dictatorships is they don't let the people leave. They tend to close the border, and that is both ways, comings and goings. So if for some strange reason America ended up under a dictatorship, it's probably going to be hard to leave the country. So it's kind of one of those things you need to get ahead of it before it happens. Hopefully Trump doesn't take that route, but understand that they're not going to just let people leave either. I mean, you can't just leave North Korea. They're not letting you just leave. I mean, so if it goes that route, your chance of once it goes into that realm, you can't leave anymore. And that's assuming you have the money to do so, or a country that's willing to take you, such as North Korea. A lot of countries will probably not even let North Korean citizens live there. Looking in the comments, yes, I would leave if I had the money, says Majin Boo. What about asylum? You might be, depends on what you're facing in this country. Let's say, for instance, Trump is threatening to send folks to El Salvador, for instance. And I'm talking about political dissidents. You're speaking, damn, I'm having a Biden moment. You've said something that's pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, and you know that Trump is deporting people to El Salvador and locking them up in prison. Americans. We're just speculating here. He's not at the point of sending Americans away, but he has made references to doing so. And we can clearly see what he's done to the immigrants. If he does to Americans what he's done to the immigrants, that means he's going to start out by saying, I'm only doing this to people who are violent and a danger to the country. And then it's going to spread to folks who are just hanging around the wrong rally or protest or something else that's considerably lighter. That's what he started out with, the immigrants, rapists and murderers. Now it's all of a sudden, when you got the wrong tattoo or you were at the wrong protest. And that is likely what would happen to American citizens if he takes it in that route. Well, the reason I'm bringing that up is, at that point, you're a political prisoner. If all of a sudden, speaking out on behalf of something you don't like about Trump, or maybe you're pro-Black Lives Matter, for instance, when Trump is calling them a terrorist group, because remember, Trump has stated that BLM is a terrorist outfit. Well, he said MS-13 and ISIS and Al-Qaeda are a terrorist outfit as well. So based on his language, there's not much difference between Al-Qaeda and BLM. So understand that if he takes that down that route, this is where, when you talked about asylum, you show up to a place like Canada somewhere and you tell them, I need to seek asylum because in my country, they're going to lock me up for exercising my right to free speech. I'm going to be a political prisoner. I said something the president doesn't like, and that's enough for him to deport me to some foreign land and lock me up. That's what political prisoners are. That could happen in this country. Not saying it will, but it could. Anyway, looking in the comments, but with Congress and the Supreme Court, do you think this could unfold in 3.5 years? I'm going to tell you right off the bat, take Congress out of the picture. Now, you're saying with Congress and the Supreme Court, could this happen in 3.5 years? Keep in mind, Trump has not even been president for 3.5 months. And look at all of the road he's covered. 3.5 years with Congress not doing anything to stop him? You be the judge of that. I mean, he's only been in office since January 20th. What is today's date? April 22nd. So he's been in office 3 months and 2 days. Look at all the ground he's covered. 3.5 years? Yeah, it could. Yes, it absolutely could happen if he wanted to do it. Hopefully, he don't want to do it, but yes, it could happen. Let me go back to the box. And maybe the Supreme Court, but shit, if the Supreme Court rules against Trump, who's going to enforce it? I mean, what if he says, fuck him, I'm going to do what I want to do? Who's going to enforce it? Gangsta Grandma. Good evening, Gangsta.
I'm so sick of your fucking ass.
You are a fluffy, and you make me wait 2 to 3 hours, and I pay for this shit. You got me fucked up. And quit talking shit about Biden when you're gonna need Viagra in a couple of fucking years.
Whoa, what the hell? Why am I going
Yeah,
to?
let's go there. Yeah, I'm having a Biden moment. You're gonna have a fucking Viagra moment in like a year or so. So I advise you to quit talking shit.
Well, listen, I was just having a little bit of a stuttering issue. I choked
Well,
up my
quit
word.
saying Biden because there's a lot of people that do have stuttering. That's very fucked up. And you're gonna have Viagra moments when you can't get your ding-a-lingy up. You know people that talk shit about your little ding-a-lingy? I will blast you to hell back. I promise you I would.
Okay, well let's for God's sake, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Oh, no, okay, look, and you didn't quit bluffing. And you know what another damn thing is? You have those fucking maggots on and give you brain rot. And you don't even fight them back. You don't even, half the motherfuckers, I want tariffs. No, they don't. They don't even know the definition of a fucking tariff.
They know what a tariff is. I mean, who does?
So with their broke asses, are they going to? Are they gonna pay $3,000 for a fucking iPhone? Fuck no.
Well, they don't believe that the tariffs are going to lead to the price of goods and services raising.
What
much.
they don't believe is not reality, Pookie.
I'm just
It's
telling.
not the reality. You need to fight them back on that. And quit being a fucking little shithead to them. Oh, baby, is that right? Well, I kind of agree. And quit giving that fucking clown fucking credit when the fucking border is doing the same damn thing. I can't stand you some of the time. I don't know how your wife could lay next to you. Because I've been trying to choke the fuck out your ass. I really would.
You really? I see somebody got birds floating over my head. Alter ego, oh my God. Okay, you're trying to tell me that it's wrong to give Trump credit for something if he deserves it?
He hasn't done nothing.
The border.
Pookie, what the fuck?
The border.
He got played by Mexico. The woman president played him like a violin. You know who got the 10,000 troops was Biden. You motherfuckers don't look shit up.
No. I'm going to tell you flat out. There's no way in hell I think that Biden was better at securing the border than Trump.
Okay, all right, you fucking flea feet, you fucking coon ass. Let me tell you.
Wow!
No,
Wow!
you're so sick. Your black ass over here trying to do shit, and you ain't doing shit about nothing. Yo, we tell you, Biden got more deportations than that racist fuck.
Why are you calling him racist now?
Oh my fucking God! Are you fucking? Oh my God! I cannot. I can't. I gotta smoke a blunt with you. I really do. Because I can't. Because I cannot fuck with you like that. Because you know why? Because you over here being a fucking. Yep, I gotta calm my nerves.
What am I doing wrong? Okay, let's talk about the subject. Then $5,000 per shorty. What do you think?
You really think that? You really think that? Oh, that's so funny.
I mean,
Because you know why? Guess what? Kamala Harris, the beloved black fucking woman that we should have had, you know what she did?
What?
$6,000 every damn year for your kids to help.
$6,000 every year?
Yeah, every fucking on your tax rebate. Well, what the fuck's this kind? I'll give you $5,000 to birth a white kid. Hell fucking no! What the fuck was over who? They're keeping up our damn schools. The damn white teen people is making the fucking kids crazy. Fuck that.
Well, first of all, you're wrong. Trump never suggested that it's only for white kids.
Oh my fucking. Are you? Oh my God! I cannot. I know you're giving me brain rot. Just fucking with you. I swear to God. Why do you think the Triple K, the Christian nationalists, wants us to have kids so bad? They don't want my fucking fat ass to have kids because I'm Afro-Latina. They don't want our black women to have fucking kids. No. They want the YT women to have all the babies because they're thinking that their race is going out. of distinction.
How do
That's
you
what white keep people going.
how do you know? How can you say that they don't want people of color to have more children? How do you know that?
Why do you think they're having a big deal? They don't give a fuck if we have A, B's and shit. They don't. They don't give two fucks about us.
Well,
But the YT, oh hell yeah, they even said it. They don't want. Why do you think they're deporting people out of here?
so
Okay?
you're
Why do you think they're deporting people out of here? It ain't the YT, man.
so you're
You know
saying
one thing else I gotta say? Let me tell you something, you fucking little sorry ass maggots with your white tea asses. Go ask a Native American, should you be here? Just remember this, pokies, ray-rays, uneducated morons. You wasn't illegal too. Booyah, cuz.
okay, I can't argue with that part. I mean, yes, they
No, go back. Go back. Go back, because you gave us all of the fucking diseases. Hello.
yeah, but you come across as if you just have a inherent problem with white
I
people.
do not like maggots. I told you. The normal white tea people, I'm cool with. They're welcome to my barbecue. Okay? But not the uneducated morons, the maggots, the racist ones. No, I cannot stand.
What is
Oh, come here legally? Did you tell your mama to come here legally? Did you remember that? Did you tell your mama that you guys come here legally? Fuck no. You guys were begging and everything else, bringing syphilis, gonorrhea, and everything else to this damn country, and gave it to our black men. Yeah, you don't remember that? Yeah, I do. Giving the C word to the hoods. Oh yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, you guys don't remember? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Keep
well,
going.
well, yeah, I mean, you said you don't have a problem with as you put it, normal white people. Just what do you say that MAGA's not normal?
No, they're the cult.
Every one of them.
If you walk like a duck, you talk like a duck, you're a fucking duck.
I think you're being a bit harsh. Some folks want.
No, let me tell you something about being harsh, okay?
Okay.
See, I'm not the type of person that you gonna say fuck me once and I'm gonna still smile on your fucking face. Hell fucking to the no. I seen their damn colors, okay? I seen their colors. I see what they're doing to us. Fuck that. I'll never trust them. They'll never be in my fucking house. They'll never touch me. No. I don't trust their asses. They'll put us on a fucking tree before they put their people on a tree.
Jesus.
You got me fucked up.
Cedric Haney in the comments says people like you are part of the problem in this country.
No, the maggots are the fucking problem in this damn country. They're taking everything from black and brown people. You have noticed they took GEI. Planes are falling from the fucking sky now. They're taking black history out of our fucking books. They're trying to delete black people off of this country, out of this country. They are. They're trying so hard.
You wait a minute. Hold on. You believe that Trump and MAGA are trying to remove black people from the country? How?
Did you hear what,
How?
Did you just hear what Trump said? Did you just hear what Trump said today? He's trying to find a legal way to get prisoners, United States prisoners, out of this country.
But he didn't.
Illegal way.
He didn't say just black ones though.
What the fuck is in our goddamn? Oh my fucking god! I swear to God, I will come through this goddamn phone like a ghost dad and choke you the fuck out. What is the most populated in this damn in the prison system?
It's a lot of people of color.
People?
It's a lot of people of color in the prison system. I get it.
No shit, Sherlock. And the people of color is the one who's gonna go ship the fuck out. And he said the legal way. He's gonna try to find a legal way. So what the fuck does that mean? And then you had a moron here. Nobody took black history out of anything. Yeah, bitch, out of books. Telling people what they can and cannot do in colleges.
So it's
uneducated fucking dipshit.
It sounds like you think that Trump is an inherent danger to people of color.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. Did you notice that? You're so far up in maggots' asses, you don't see that. They would stab you in the back and smile on your fucking face. I don't trust their asses. I don't. You know what? Let me tell you something, okay? I lost friends behind this shit. I told you get the fuck out of my face. Do not ever come to my. I kicked my boyfriend out. I found out he voted for Trump, and he was a sorry ass piece of shit black man.
You kicked your boyfriend out for voting for Trump.
So you know what I did? I put a bar on fire, and I lit his shit on fire. And you know, I tell him, you kiss my black fucking ass, and you get the fuck out and never come back. And you know what? He never came back. So I told him, I will unalive his ass. I don't fucking play that.
Okay, gangster, you're living up to your name, but you're also admitting you're committing crimes. Let's not go down that road.
Burning up the burning up clothes that I paid for it, and I got receipt. Fuck that. I threw the shit, put live, and set it on fire. Go to the left.
Jesus. Okay, in regards to you suggesting that the prison population is mostly filled with African Americans and people of color, in the comments, user 44 says, well then why don't people just stop committing so much crime?
Why don't the white teen man mind their fucking business and quit? And when one white teen man and a black man goes for the same thing, quit giving a harsher punishment to the black man and slapping the white man with the handshake. Okay? Okay. Oh, you know what? Tell the white people to control their white teen kids and quit peeing up our fucking schools.
All right, gangster. I gotta move.
No, you can honestly say, name one black child that peed up a goddamn school. Name one Hispanic that peed up a goddamn school. Name it. Name one. There wasn't. All white teen. All fucking white teen. You know why? Because they got fucked up heads. You know why? Because they got fucked up hair. They're probably all maggots too.
Jesus.
It's the fucking truth. I wish I care. My kids went to school and did some fuck shit like that. And my kids went to a ghetto ass school. And I'm proud of that. Because you know why? Oh, they didn't get into the shit like the damn white teen kid go up peeping up school and shit. No, that was a white kid.
Yeah, somebody said the Uvalde shooter. I don't know if he was. Yeah, I don't know.
He was white.
All right, gangster grandma. I'm just gonna. You win. I'm not even gonna try tonight. You.
I know you're not gonna try because you know why? You can't even go against me. You can't even go against a fucking maggot. And you should push back on me sometimes. But I can't. Yeah, you don't. You don't.
I do when it time.
Only one time. Oh my God.
I do.
Let me tell you this though. But let me tell you this though. And this on some real shit. All jokes aside and all this bullshit. Trump is losing the battle with China. China is laughing in our fucking faces. China is going to kick our asses. They did it the fucking first time, and they're going to do it the second time. How would you... We're two powerhouses. China and us are two big powerhouses. They have more infrastructure than we do. That's why we buy more from China. You feel what I'm saying? We buy more. That's why we have a deficit with them, because we buy more.
I agree with that. I got to move it on, but I've said myself that I don't think we're going to win the tariff war with them because.
Well, we're not.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I gotta go, because I get brain around fucking with you and your fucking maggot ass so-called friends. Because you need to push back though, because you're allowing them to do all kinds of misinformation, and that's not what we need. We need the fucking truth. And they're gonna say that we're not spinning the truth. We are. We're going down a fucking hill that we don't. Biden did have a good economy, but they're just too damn stupid to realize it. Biden was one of the best presidents. He got more legislation passed than any other fucking president than JR. Now, if you don't believe me, go look the shit up. Google is fucking free. And then, you know what? In past 100 days, Trump has not passed not one bill. Only what? Little hand. That's all he's done. Nothing for the United States people to bring down the goddamn egg prices, to bring down the groceries. Everything's going up. And if the gas prices are going down, that's not a good damn thing. They're closing down rigs and stuff.
I gotta go, but.
Why you gotta go too? Because I gotta go to bed. I gotta get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You have a good day.
You too. She worked me over today, and I seen a lot of folks in the comments were agreeing with her. Gangsta Grandma is on that ding-a-ling tonight. LOL, handsome, watch out. I think you got lost. Yeah, I think I got my ass kicked on that. I enjoy talking against the grandma, and I do push back despite what she's saying, but maybe I don't push back to her liking on some of my guests. But I like to let the folks speak and give the audience a chance to listen and decide. I don't believe in pushing back to the point where my guests can't get their point across. Because at the end of the day, folks, none of us are know-it-alls. None of us are. I mean, I've heard things that liberals have said is not true, or I question, and I've heard things that MAGA has said that is not true or that I question. So I've made that solemn promise since I started doing the show 4 or 5 years ago. I don't talk down the guests. I give everybody a chance to speak. When I say we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q, damn it, we mean it. And I also make that promise that you can be critical of anybody on the program, including yours truly. I think my last caller kind of proved that. Nevertheless, tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 60,000. I haven't asked that for a while. Tap the screen. A good minute of tapping helps out the program, helps out the algorithm. And I'll continue moving on with the show. Wow, she put me through it. She put me through it. I feel like I got an ass whipping after that last call. Joe D says, they trying to get rid of Black history. It's true. I've seen plenty of examples of that. Enough of them to not disagree with what Joe D is saying. Everything from the Tuskegee Airmen and Air Force manuals to Jackie Robinson. I've seen him removed. They had removed Harriet Tubman material and had to put it back due to outcry. That does seem to be true, that there is some forces that be in this country that are trying to get rid of celebrated characters of Black history, celebrated heroes of our history. That does seem to be true. Ed G says, so if I say I only like normal Black people, not the ghetto ones, that should be okay, since it's the same as saying I only like normal white people. Well, I did push back on that and question her on that, and made it clear that the idea that all MAGA's not normal didn't make sense to me. I did push back on that. And by the way, Ed G, you could say that on this program, and I would question you in the same manner, but I would allow you to say it. I would allow you to say it without any concern of you being blocked, banned, censored, or having your time limited. I would allow you to say that. You only like normal Black people, not the ghetto ones. I get folks on the show that say shit like that all the time. Moving on with the program. Listen, at the end of the day, censoring the opinion of others does not change their opinion. So I've always believed that it's best to know how people feel than to tell them to shut the hell up or censor them and let them feel that way in silence. I'd rather you get it out, which is one reason why I don't get a lot of hate DMs, for instance. Some of the hosts, whether you're a right-wing host or a left-wing host, a lot of hosts talk about getting hate messages and shit like that. I've had people ask me, don't you be getting people threatening you? Don't some of them MAGA threaten you, or some of them liberals because you talk to MAGA? No, because I allow them to say it live. You don't need to do anything in a fucking message box when I'm letting you speak. If you got an issue with me, just say it right on the program. And you can actually get an actual response from it, instead of having to type some shit in a direct message and hope I read it. So, no, I don't get any of that through direct message, because you can say it right here, right now. Tim has officially lost Gangsta Grandma. Gangsta got 10, Tim got 0. Well, she beat my ass that bad, Major? No, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Wow, officially lost. Ghetto and Kamala supporters I can't stand. I would like to hear what the definition of ghetto is, first of all, because I've heard people suggest that what is her name? The African American Congresswoman, bad, built, bleached, blonde, the one that attacked Crockett, Jasmine Crockett. I'm hearing folks suggest that she's ghetto. And I'm going to ask that question. If Jasmine Crockett, with her law degree and successful career, is ghetto, what's your definition of ghetto? Can you be non-African American and still be ghetto? Because I don't know what the definition of ghetto is. If Jasmine Crockett fits the definition of ghetto, what is it? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene done some pretty raunchy shit while in Congress. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene ghetto? Looking in the comments, which allies are okay? You guys are speaking with each other. We'll go back to the box. You in here still getting cooked tonight, says King Finn. They're using AI against DEI. Do you understand how that works? No, I don't understand how to use AI against DEI, but I do know DEI is starting to become synonymous with African American and people of color. I do believe DEI is being used as a weapon. I can see that because I'm seeing folks. I'll just give Pete Hegseth as an example. The guy, some of the folks that Trump fired yelling DEI while doing so have significantly more merit than Hegseth. And he's holding on to Pete Hegseth and calling some of these other folks that are well established and have very impressive resumes as DEI. So yeah, I mean, he got rid of an admiral. He got rid of the head of the Coast Guard. She was a female, claiming DEI. Their resumes are significantly better than Hegseth. And my issue with DEI, and the reason why I said it's starting to indicate that it's a synonym for black people or for people of color, is they're yelling DEI as if you got a job for which you had no merit, didn't earn it. I think some folks are using the acronyms to say didn't earn it, as opposed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI didn't earn it. But when you call on the Trump administration to actually present facts for why any of the folks they fired yelling DEI did not deserve that position, they're not doing it. They're firing people and yelling DEI, but when you look at the resume of the people they're firing, they clearly earned a position. So the only other thing you can come to, well, you just didn't like them because they were a woman or because they were black or Hispanic or whatever, or gay, but they clearly actually had the merit for the position. So I don't get the DEI other than we don't like those kind of people. She is not ghetto. She is smart. Nothing ghetto comes to her. She actually has an education. Read up on it. Get in those damn books, people. Yes, Major. Yeah, she was on The View. I was watching Jasmine Crockett. You know, I watched The View and The Five and Outnumbered, all of those programs, and they read off her resume on The View. She is very educated. She is very educated. So, like I said, if Jasmine Crockett is ghetto, I'd have to figure out what is the definition of ghetto. I don't know where they're getting it from. What do they mean by ghetto? Anyway, looking in the comments real quick, continuing on, we'll go to Nicole. Good evening. Oh, wait a minute. What did I hear? Dean the Trucker. Dean the Trucker, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
I've been on here before, Tim. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you back. What am I getting wrong this evening?
You ain't getting nothing wrong tonight, sir. So, here's what I like to say. I've heard a couple of things. I've heard a couple other people you've had on here, and I've seen some of the things that the viewers have been saying. One thing is, let's talk about Jasmine Crockett for a minute. Okay.
She's ghetto. That's what they're telling me.
I don't know why people would say she's ghetto. Sometimes she wants to act like she came from a rougher neighborhood. That girl didn't come from a rougher neighborhood. She was raised in a private school. She went to college. Their definition of ghetto, that woman is far from it.
You know what I think, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and you can correct me if so, but I think when they say ghetto, any woman that is black and assertive, that, you know, not submissive, but, you know, willing to get out there, like Trump would get out there and tell the media they're stupid and challenge other politicians and point out things. If Jasmine Crockett does the same thing, she's ghetto. I think it's just her being an African American and having that aggressive, assertive attitude is what they're calling ghetto.
Being ghetto and standing for what you believe in are two different things.
Yeah.
I believe she's standing for what she believes in rather than being ghetto.
Yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't know what, when they say she's acting ghetto, I don't know what the definition. I would have to talk to somebody who suggested she is ghetto and have them explain it because yeah, I mean, because Marjorie Taylor Greene said some wild ass shit on the floor, and if she's not ghetto, I mean, she's attacked people, she's insulted folks. If she's not ghetto, then what makes her any different than someone like Jasmine Crockett? So I'd have to get their definition of what makes that person ghetto.
Right, right. Now, you brought up The View.
Yes.
Do you know Caroline Levitt sued The View?
That's Trump's spokeswoman for what?
Defecation of character. She won $8 million.
What did they say about her?
She went on their show and they literally put her out on Front Street. Like they threw her out in the wind.
$8 million?
They tried to degrade her right on the show.
You know something, what I think is happening, because we have Trump as president and they know that Trump has all the power in the world right now, some of these organizations are just submitting to Trump as opposed to fighting him and risking him take their network off the air or do something that is outrageous. Disney is an example because Disney also settled with Trump. I believe George Stephanopoulos, his Sunday show, he called Trump a rapist, and Disney settled with Trump for $15 million for what George Stephanopoulos said. Now, keep in mind, Trump says all kinds of awful shit that's not true about everybody. I think what they're doing though is they're settling with Trump because he's at a position where you can't really beat him. So they're just throwing some money to make him happy in hopes that he go away. Otherwise, he might pull some stunt because he's in control of the federal government.
I don't believe it's just because of that. I believe it's because they're trying to keep it out of the courts, which keeps it off the news media.
Well,
If that goes to court for somebody that's favored as much as Trump is, that ends up in court. That's going to be over national news around the entire world. So everybody's going to know it.
So what? Ain't nobody who favors Trump watching The View anyway, or any Disney program.
Right. But I mean, the thing about it is like, if Trump took him to court and won a lawsuit, that'd be in the news media around the world.
Okay. Well, you know about Caroline Leavitt. I know about George Stephanopoulos, and they settled in still it's around the world. People still know about it.
I also know Whoopi Goldberg's got 6 lawsuits against her.
In reference to what?
I'm not sure.
Well, understand if you're on a political show that is the most highly rated morning show on television, and you're constantly being critical of people are going to sue you. I mean, the only reason they're not suing Trump is because they believe he controls the courts and it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, because like I said, Trump says all kinds of awful shit about all sorts of people that's not true. The only reason they're not suing him is because they don't think it's going to go anywhere. But my guess is the people on The View, folks on The Five or outnumbered of those programs get sued all the time. Jesse Waters says a bunch of crazy shit. We know Fox News lost $750 million in Dominion voting machines. I mean, if you're going to be on television, Stephen A. Smith probably gets sued. If you're going to be on television constantly criticizing people, folks are going to come at you when you say something bad about them or get it wrong.
You're right about that. Let me take it a little bit further, okay? The average person that's a millionaire or higher in this country gets sued one way or another. Yeah. They end up with a lawsuit against them.
Yep.
Now, I've seen some court cases go to court. The person being sued really didn't even do anything. That's not all cases.
I've seen it as well.
Some of them I have seen. They're being drugged through court when they didn't even do anything wrong.
Well, that's what Trump is claiming happened to him.
Well, I mean, they tried to take a shot at him.
Well, but like I said, Trump is someone who creates enemies for breakfast. So I don't understand why someone like Trump, I don't understand why Trump and some of his supporters think
They
that is
fear
wrong.
him because he's a businessman.
You don't think it's because you don't think it might have something. You don't think it might have something to do with Bird Brain and Nervous Nancy and Crazy Bernie and Sleepy Joe Biden. You don't think all the insults have anything to do
Well,
with
yeah,
it?
it's got a lot to do with all of them. But they fear him because he's a successful businessman. He's richer than they are.
I don't think they feared Elon Musk until he started talking shit. And he's way successful than anything Trump could dream of. They don't fear Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. They're all way more successful than Trump. No, it's Trump being an asshole is what they're fearing. They don't care about his. Trump is not even in the top 1,000 in terms of a successful American businessman. It ain't that he's a successful businessman. It's that he's a successful asshole. Is why they don't like him. The business ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, I mean, here's another point on that, okay? They call him racist. He got a black woman out of prison that
Okay.
the Democrats put in prison for protesting in front of a Planned Parenthood.
Okay. So what's your point?
This lady's in her 50s. He got her out of prison. Not only did he get her out of prison, but he also gave her a position. She gets to run around to different prisons, finding people that went to prison for the same reason she went, and make the decision based on the story she gets out of them on whether they get out or not.
I know. I've seen the story. I've seen the woman.
If you do a peaceful protest in this country, that's in our Constitution. We're allowed to do that.
I've seen the woman in the story, but I'm still trying to figure out, does that one woman mean that there's no way Trump could be a racist?
She ain't the only woman. I mean, he's, God, I can't think of his name. The little kid that they made honorary law enforcement.
But let me
Did you see that?
No, I didn't. But here's the point. You're talking about Trump helping out African American women. I mean, when you think about all of the African American women that Biden has appointed Biden has appointed women to the Supreme Court. He was trying to put Kamala Harris as VP, tried to help her become president. And yet you guys say that because he said, vote for me or you ain't black, he's a racist. He's done a lot for people of color.
My honest opinion about Biden is he's a puppet.
For who?
Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden was a puppet. Harris would have been the same puppet had she won the election. Harris would have been a puppet too. Here's the other thing I do know that supports that. Okay, they found 3 documents that Joe Biden actually signed. Every other document while he was in office was signed by that electronic signature.
Well, in regards to the puppet comment, I'll just say this. Every president that gets in office, somebody claims they're a puppet. When Obama was in office, he was a puppet for the Clintons. When Bill Clinton was in office, he was a puppet to his wife. Now you're saying Biden's a puppet. I mean, anytime a liberal gets in office, they say he's a puppet.
To his wife.
When he was in office, they were saying that Hillary Clinton was running it behind the scenes.
No.
That's what they were saying when he was in office, that he was a puppet.
I believe Hillary Clinton made suggestions to her husband on certain aspects. But no, I don't believe Hillary Clinton was running shit. I think Bill was.
But when he was in office, they were saying he was a puppet. Just like when Obama was in office, they were saying he was a puppet.
I don't believe Bill Clinton or Barack Obama were puppets.
That's just you. But other folks, I want to play something to you. I've played this on the program many a time, but I want to get your opinion on this. This is an older clip, but I want to get your opinion on it. This is Trump having a conversation with Bill O'Reilly when he used to be at Fox News. It's about a minute or so long, but I want you to listen to this.
Is this election or was this back in 2016?
This is 2016.
Okay.
Listen to this clip.
No matter what they want. Free zone. If you have a safe zone in their own country, they stay there. It doesn't matter what they want. Okay. Are you aware? It's a much better idea, and certainly better for us. Are you aware that the liberal media and the Democratic Party in general trying to paint you as a racist? Are you aware of that? I think so, but I think people know better than that. I'm probably the least racist person on earth. Well, I've known you a long time, and I never saw any racism from you. However, when you tweet out a thing, and this bothered me, I got to tell you, you tweeted out that whites killed by blacks, these were statistics you picked up from somewhere, at a rate of 81%. And that's totally wrong. Whites killed by blacks is 15%. Yet you tweeted it was 81%. Now, Bill, I didn't tweet. I retweeted somebody that was supposedly an expert. But you don't want to be. Also a radio Why do you want to be in that zone? Hey, Bill, am I going to check every statistic? I get millions and millions of people. You got it. You're a presidential contender. I have millions of people. You know what? Fine. But this came out of radio shows and everything else. Oh, come on, All radio it was shows? A retweet. I didn't say. Excuse me. All it was is a retweet. It wasn't from me, and it did. It came out of a radio show and other places because you see all the names. Look, you know I'm looking out for you, right? You know that? You know I'm looking out for you. I look out for every honest politician. I don't care what party they're in. Don't do this. Don't put your name on stuff like this because it makes the other side, it gives them stuff to tell the ill-informed voter that you're a racist. I mean, you just hand them the platter. This was a retweet. I'm sure you're looking out for me. Everybody is, right? Yeah. This was a retweet. This was a retweet. All right, whatever it is. And it came from sources that are very credible. You shouldn't be tweeting.
Okay, I'm going to freeze this. Now, give me your opinion. Why do you think he would tweet something out like this? That black people, he basically said that if you are white and you're the victim of a homicide, there's an 81% chance that a black person did it. So he's making it sound like black people are killing whites wholesale. Now, he's the one that's known for the phrase fake news, but yet here he is indicating, I can't even check all the sources I sent out. Why would you send this out to begin with?
Let me correct you on that, Tim, because it actually says whites killed by blacks 81%, not blacks killed by white, or whites killed by blacks. In other words, 81% of whites are killed by blacks. Yes, he's making it sound like if you're a white victim, if you were white and you were killed, there's an 81% chance a black person did it. I agree with the news guy, what he said. If Trump got that from somewhere else, Trump should not have attached his name to it.
Is it racist? Is it racist?
If I was President Trump, and somebody tweeted that to me, I wouldn't have reposted that crap.
So let me ask you this. Does it make sense for somebody to see this coming from the account of a presidential contender? And notice this is the actual thing he tweeted out. The picture is on the screen there. You see the character there with the gun turned to the side like a thug. He's wearing a do-rag. His pants are sagging. Would it make sense for an African American to see this coming from Trump's account and suggest that this guy must be a racist to send this out? Why would he even send this out to begin with?
I can't say I agree with everything Trump does or says, and this is one of the things that I don't agree with. Like, he should have never attached his name to it, for number one. As far as to why he did it, I don't have a clue, because if I was president, I wouldn't have done that.
Is it possible?
And I don't have a college degree. I don't have big businesses behind me lining my banks with money. I don't have none of that Trump's got. And I still wouldn't have made that mistake.
Is it possible that he could have tweeted out something like this due to a little bit of inherent racism?
If he was going to do something like this, he should have posted where he got it from.
Well,
like, this came from such and such.
Well, and that's a good point, because when you talk about he should have posted where he got it from, you gotta assume anywhere you find this from is probably a racist site. I mean, what sites is he scrolling to even come across this shit? Because at the bottom it says the source is Crime Statistics Bureau, San Francisco. You heard Bill O'Reilly say that source does not even exist. So where was Trump scrolling to even come across this?
Honestly, I mean, this could have been sent to Trump as a setup.
Okay, if they send something to him as a setup, they didn't make him resend it though. Him resending this.
They sent it to him. I mean, I'm just saying this is a possibility. I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying this is a possibility of probably a million. But this is one possibility, is that somebody sent it to him to set him up to retweet it. And because he did, he took the bait.
Why would if somebody sent me something like, why would you just retweet it without verifying it's valid? I bet if you sent him the same clip that says that whites are going around killing blacks wholesale, he wouldn't have just retweeted that. I mean, I'm just gonna.
Again, like I said, I don't have an answer as to why, but I know if I was in his position, if I was president of the United States, I'd have never done that.
Okay, but does it make sense?
Not even looking back at where I was raised or how I was raised, I'd have been smart enough to know I'm not retweeting that. I am not attaching my name to that.
But does it make sense for a person of color to look at something like this coming from him and say that this man must be a racist?
It does.
Okay.
But
all right.
if you look at the votes, in 2016, Trump won by the skin of his teeth.
He didn't do very well with.
won.
He still, even in 2024, he didn't do very well with the black vote. He did very well with the Hispanic vote. He increased his numbers with blacks, but he still only got like 7% of the black women's vote. He didn't do very well with black people.
Right. I agree with that. But you also got to look at this. Look at this. Look at the voting map for 2024. He took 7 battleground states and turned them red.
Yeah. I think a lot of that has more to do with the fact that a lot of people didn't vote, and even some of the African American community did not favor Kamala Harris. I don't think it's due to Trump. I don't think it's due to the excitement for Trump. I just think it's due to the lackluster candidates that the Democrats put up.
Yeah, if I may, I just want to clear something up real quick. Somebody in here said January 6th. No, I was not at the White House on January 6th, so they can X that right out. I'm a truck driver. I was over the road, period.
All right.
What happened January 6th, I can't speak on, because again, like I just said, I was not there.
Well, just Dean, I gotta move it on, but you're always welcome back on the program anytime. But just so you've seen, we've had this conversation. So in the future, if you hear somebody say, well, Trump has never said or did anything racist, think about what we just discussed here, because you admitted that you can understand somebody looking at this and suggesting this shows that Trump might be racist a little bit. No clue why he sent this out, even to this day.
But I don't believe that he is. But seeing some shit like this, yeah, I can see how somebody would think he's racist.
All right. And I can live with that.
I mean, in my view, what I've seen, especially with this election, and, like you said a little while ago, Trump ain't even been in office 3.5 months yet. And he's covered a lot of ground already. Now, everything that we're going through, even like somebody brought up about the chickens and the eggs, Biden on his way out killed over 2 million chickens because of some bird flu. That's why the price of eggs went up. They're coming back down because Trump went out of his way to buy chickens from somewhere else and put them back in our country. So now we're getting more eggs. Prices of eggs are coming down. It's going to be a while. We got to get our farmers going and all that. Once we get our farmers going, you're going to see corn and vegetables and dairy products. I'm from Wisconsin, so that's a dairy state right there. we're gonna see all that come down.
Very optimistic viewpoint. I gotta move it on. We'll see if what you're talking about is true. Hopefully before his term is up, but I do gotta move it on, Trucker.
You have a good one, Tim.
Absolute. Thank you. Thanks for coming through. Looking in the comments, Will G says, MAGA ain't shit. He says, now they're saying sending homegrown Americans out is taken out of context. Really? He's saying that Trump, because you know Trump is talking about sending homegrown criminals to El Salvador. And Will is saying that they're trying to indicate that that's taken out of context. How? That was pretty clear as day. And by the way, Trump doubled down on that statement. I think the only way they would be saying it's taken out of context is that they've realized that threatening to send Americans to El Salvador is incredibly unpopular, and he's trying to backtrack on it. But it wasn't taken out of context. I mean, you're caught on a hot mic telling the man to literally build more prisons and that you would like to check the law and see if you could send Americans there. I mean, yeah, take it out of context, my ass just said it. Don't back down now that you're getting in trouble for saying it. But yeah, he clearly said that. He clearly said he was talking about sending homegrown American criminals to El Salvador. So yeah, if he's trying to suggest he didn't say that, I don't know how anybody could believe that's taken out of context. Anyway, let me go back to the box. We'll go to the next caller here. Did I hit something wrong here? Okay, I may have to, let me reset it here because this one here is acting goofy. Hold on a second, folks.